Yeah, you haven't been there because of due reason.
Yeah,
Was a good one.
yeah,
And then we're supposed to have somebody else coming, or maybe a couple of them, but
yeah,
Damien has some head cold. Maybe he's not
yeah,
feeling really well, and not up to chat. So we gonna stay tall and do the job for those two missing people,
yeah.
or
That's right.
whatever. And we'll talk comics, of course, and
Yep,
we'll be very gentle, and we're not gonna bash anybody.
that's not true.
We will give it only an honest opinions of our.
Oh, I got opinions.
But then the one thing is very important for us is we enjoying what we do. It's like
Yeah,
we
no, totally.
comics and we having fun.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
on that, like I
yeah,
heard your chat on Meanwhile at the podcast. It was
yeah.
fantastic. First of all, like to say it to you face to face, like it was really, really good. I
Uh,
really enjoyed it. I had it playing while I was at work,
uh-huh.
so I was mostly tuned into it in the background. I just
Hmm.
found it really interesting to hear you talk about the stuff that you talked about. Because
Okay.
again, obviously we've known each other for a long time at this point, but I mean there was still some nuggets there that were, things that I didn't really know. It was a really good conversation. So anybody that doesn't know Meanwhile at the podcast,
Yeah,
check it out for sure and have a listen to that. And a shout out to George and crew because it was a really good conversation.
yeah. Thank you very much for asking me here. There to be part of the podcast, which is very nice. I was very happy that somebody wanted to speak to me anyway in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of format. Kind of new for me. I think by myself only. I've probably it's the first time I've ever done it. So I'm
right.
really pleased that you enjoyed it, and
Yep.
yeah, I do hope that other people will enjoy it as well when they listen to it. So,
Hmm.
meanwhile, at the podcast, they have Twitter is almost the same name, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Uh, and then look who's here. But Matt, if you want to join us, you just pop in.
yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
link is in the Twitter thread there, Matt. If you
yeah.
want to jump on.
If you have some comics to chat about, please come. You're more than welcome, as
Yep.
you were last week. So it was good comics. You were really showing us some cool stuff. We are
Yeah, it was
always
good. It
I
was
look
I wasn't there, so it was good to see Matt taking up the mantle of
yeah
someone talking the oddball books. So that was great because
yeah
I
we
did
all
eventually listen back. I
yeah.
watched in like three different chunks, I think, but I did eventually watch the whole stream just to kind of see what you guys were talking about. So
Well, that's good. So
yeah,
yeah, definitely a lot of new things, especially from those like big what is it, big cartel websites, I guess, to which creators have. So which is a bit difficult when it comes shipping wise. For example, across the pond for me, I've
yeah,
been looking around, and I also looked at that. What is that Santa? What is those Santos sisters or
Santos
girls?
sisters. Yep.
Yeah, that was really cool because I really liked the style and I really liked the way it looked and generally.
Hmm.
And I even looked at Matt's video when he was just pushing like flip through them, which is actually much like easier to check and like
Yeah,
details and stuff, which was really nice.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Did you go straight to Floating World? How was their shipping to overseas? Probably still expensive, I
I
imagine, right?
wasn't aware of floating words. I went to that like links the Damien was keep giving to us,
Yep,
like the big cartel websites of the
yep.
few things. I pressed on those, especially that guy with the comic book what is this it starts with G. um it's sold out now.
Okay.
I'm blanking names already.
Yep.
It always happens when you do live chats. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know. So, oh, bye bye. I'm not talking to you. My brain is just switches off, so I don't remember. I am actually really bad with names in generally.
yeah,
That
yeah,
this maybe live chat does not really help me either. But
yeah. Totally.
it seems to be like you always blank on some small details. But anyway,
Yeah,
it was really good to see all those stuff because sometimes like you watch once, people talk about it. Um, ah, ah, thanks for kind words. I'm looking forward to joining you.
okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool, no problems. So yeah, it was always good to see that again, showing us the stuff like different what we usually tell to like tend to see in the comic book shops, especially if they not
yeah,
like have a lot of the stuff like that. Are
yeah. It's
you
true.
have you watched any of entertainment where it comes comic wise?
Yeah, man. We binged the first four episodes of She-Hulk.
Wow,
Me and
okay,
my wife
cool.
and daughter, and then last night we watched all three episodes of Andor,
Which
as
I have
well.
not. I'm curious
Dude,
to see your opinion.
Andor is I love it. I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of Rogue One. I think it is I think
Mhm.
it, for me, again, my opinion is that Rogue One is my, it's my favorite movie of all the Star Wars franchise. I think it's an incredible idea to tell a story about a group of people where we know what's going to happen to them. I think
Yeah.
it's a fantastic, and again, like even with Andor, all of that kind of rebel stuff, the
Mhm.
Rebel Alliance and how that starts, that really speaks to me as a Union guy, right? Like
Oh, okay.
that really has a strong message of the workers, the people on the ground standing up for things they believe in and working together and working in this system to try to make these changes. So it really has that underpinning message for me that really resonates. But beyond that, Andor the show, it looks phenomenal. It has
Mhm.
that kind of grit to it. I thought it was a fantastic story. I thought
Uh-huh.
it worked really well as 3 episodes. I wanted
Wow.
more, 100%. I wanted more, but I felt like it was a good kind of, because it's basically a look at Cassian Andor, just his character, so you get a little
Mhm.
bit more insight into him. And I
Yeah.
don't know if they plan to do it with some of the other characters from Rogue One, but if they do, that would be phenomenal, because I think there's some stories to tell there. And again, it's this idea of, you know what it's going to lead to, but it's so
Mhm.
fascinating to see that struggle when the Empire kind of had everybody under their thumb to some degree, and
Yeah.
that underground structure and that struggle. I love that kind of stuff. I could watch seasons of that kind of story, you know.
So is because I have not looked or details or anything why they're doing this show in particularly. So
Yeah.
is that what you say it's it's good to watch the Rogue One movie maybe again and then go back to this new series and just like
Yep.
maybe it follows through or
I mean, honestly, you could watch them back to back, because next weekend we're going to watch Rogue One again, because this has put me in the mind of like, I want to see it again, right? But
uh-huh.
honestly, honestly, I think it would be interesting to watch the Star Wars movies, like watch Andor, watch
Uh-huh.
Rogue One, and then watch like episode four,
Wow.
New Hope, five, six, and then go that way. I think all of those work because they feed right into each other,
I
basically,
see.
right? And
Yeah.
it's so, I think there's so much territory. And again, it's one of those things like, they didn't have to make this stuff like at all, because it's not imperative to the world. It's nice to get backstory, but it's not imperative to the rest of the stories, where some other things you could argue that, like Mandalorian is crucial, yada yada yada. But I mean,
Mhm.
it's one of those things that this world that they're exploring, they don't have to do it. They chose to do it and tell this super cool story. And again, it's almost like a, I don't know the proper terminology for it, but it's this kind of doomed, like this doomed love story almost in Rogue One. Like, it's doomed, and you're watching it kind of, it's so fascinating. And honestly, I feel like it's kind of brave of a huge franchise. Well, I guess
Mhm.
maybe not brave, it maybe isn't the right word, because anything they put out, they know they're going to cash in on.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do feel like it's not the norm to, like, we have this huge successful franchise, we're going to tell this story over here way off to the side, even though it's kind of the crux of those original trilogy, right? Like, it's a pretty crucial story. It's just, I love it. I could rave about it forever. It's one of my favorites from the Star Wars stuff for sure. And this Andor is right up there. I thought it was really cool and really well done.
Okay, cool. Because I have
Yeah.
not yet had chance to watch things. I'm preoccupied with other things lately.
Mhm.
But what about the She-Hulk? So you said you watched now. You enjoy it?
Honestly, the trailer didn't interest me at all. I thought the
Yeah,
trailer did not interest me. We actually surprisingly really enjoyed the show so far. We
yeah,
watched those first 4 episodes, and me and my wife both were like amazed at how much fun we were having with it. Like,
yeah.
is it a phenomenal show? No, not by a long shot, but I feel like it's really entertaining. It kept us kind of chuckling. I love the little things that they throw in when they talk about like the fans, and they make the joke about calling her She-Hulk, and I can't even be my own person. And there's all these little bits, especially as a comic nerd, seeing that
Uh-huh.
online bullshit that always happens. It's nice that they kind of dig at that a little
Yeah.
bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we enjoyed it way more than we thought we would. My daughter loves it. She thinks it's pretty entertaining. But I mean, we liked it. I honestly thought I wouldn't like it at all, just based on the trailer, which you can never base an opinion on because they can put anything in a trailer, right? So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was surprised. You?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Just to before I say my opinion there. Burned through 3 episodes on Andor and usually wait the whole series to be released, but watch them
Yeah,
both
and
back
that
to
is
back.
the whole series, their comic board, all three. There's no more after that. That's all that they're doing. So they released them all at once.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you're saying they only have 3 episodes and that's
Only 3
it?
episodes. Yeah, that's it. And they released them all at once. And they're just about 30, 40 minutes each. And
Wow.
so that's it. You just get this one little story just
Uh-huh.
about Cassian Andor. And yeah, I mean, I can feel chills as I'm talking about it. Because again, like the Union man in me is really strong. So that kind of like that Rebel Alliance, that's really core to my belief system. You know what I mean? So like you're preaching to the converted, as they say. I'm already with you. Fuck the man, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like I'm already there.
Yeah, so She-Hulk thing, I absolutely love it. I mean, the more I watch it now, the episodes, the more entertained. I guess you get to know the character better. It's a little bit jolted in some ways with the information they're providing. You know, like
Yeah.
sometimes it seems to be they follow through the one episode to another one, then suddenly something just like other ones. The tidbits so far, I haven't watched all. I think I don't know how many you have. Like they have.
Just I think there's 6 out so far, and I've
Okay.
watched 4.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of like in similar path as you are. Maybe, yeah, I think it's like 5. I think I watched, I don't know, I don't remember anyway. But so far as I say, all those hints and tidbits about, like her. And I really like the way they just, taking it easy. It's so easy to watch also.
Yeah.
And I like the characters. So,
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
well,
Sorry, man. Sorry. No, that's it. My wife was disappointed as well too. She was really because she was really getting into it. She's like, "What do you mean that's it? That's all?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's it. That's the story."
but then they say there are 12
Oh,
episodes planned.
chaos. Well, there
Yeah.
you go. So then I'm wrong. I thought it was
no.
only a 3-episode thing.
You managed to break heart and then you please the heart once again. So it's just
Yeah,
like
there you
a
go.
roller coaster of the episode already. So
Yeah, a huge treat for me. Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm good with the 3 because I thought it ended really nicely. I thought those 3 was a really nice contained story. I really enjoyed it. In my mind, I was thinking like maybe they're gonna do another 3 episodes about another character, and then maybe another 3 about another character that are all associated with Rogue One. But yeah.
Oh, a lot of hi Rick Ray, and then it seems
Ray,
to be
hello.
a lot of loves the Rogue Ones, and then loving Understood. I definitely, I said what we were planning to watch the other day, but then things.
One of the things, not to like harp on it too much longer, but I mean, one of the things I think that works with it as well is, from what I understand, for a lot of the Star Wars TV series, they have this new technology, this video screen, this wall basically, that they can project some of the landscape and then have the actors in front of. It was a huge thing for our industry when the Mandalorian behind the scenes footage started coming out. All of us tech nerds were watching the behind the scenes stuff on how they were creating things. And from what I understand, I believe that Andor is more practical sets. It's not in front of a video wall, because it really is this huge curved TV screen, this enormous thing that the actors, they kind of put some set pieces in front of it to create a bit of depth, but they're acting that background is just this video wall. So what I understand from this one, there's not as much of that. Obviously, there is some of that because you're dealing with these alien landscapes, etc. But from what I gather, it's less in this show than there is in other Star Wars related TV shows.
Well, it feels more the acting comes through. At the end of the day, you don't have to only think from your head or director's point of view. You just actually can immerse yourself in that.
And you can get some of that grit and texture, right? Like to match, even with the 4K and all this technology, to get that image and then match the foreground to that background, you're going to see a little bit of differences with textures and colors and things, right? So if everything is practical, then you have total control over the aging process and the painting that you're doing to those set pieces to make everything mesh a little bit more, where you don't get that kind of layer. Like, especially if you look at the old movies when they're doing those matte paintings and stuff, you can really see the difference in textures, right? It stands out more to us now. At the time, it looked amazing, but now it really stands out, right? Like you can see it.
Because now everything is so in depth and hello,
high definition and hello.
Celia. Oh, very good. So I have not seen anything else, I don't think. Well, but the Paper Girls got cancelled already. I heard that. So that didn't work really much.
That's too bad.
Yeah, that seems to be that. Yeah, I don't know what the expectations these days for TV shows is. Then the people
it's got to hit right away, I think.
Yeah, it seems to be like as everything has to come out, be a hit, in the sky, and then you can live on. Even Sandman, they still question mark it if they're gonna renew it this season. And I
Man, they
think
better renew that shit. That's a good show.
I wonder if it's because maybe it's too pricey for them
Mm.
in that sense, because it seems to be they did not pull punch it, like they really made sure everything looks stunning, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
And it looks very much like you know, the graphics, the dream world was fantastic for me. The castle, my husband was like, whoa, look at this.
Yeah.
You know, like really felt the depth and everything in that sense. So
Yep.
I wonder how that things, but yeah, it's surprising Paper Girls has not survived it, because I think they were what I saw, what I managed to see, at least basically I've seen an episode, and they looked spectacularly. They picked really good actors, it seems to be, but I guess people they stuck with what Stranger Things, which I'm not watching, and probably only one around everywhere, but I can't stomach the horror elements anymore, too much of the, especially I've been telling that quite often now. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not into House of Dragon. I mean, I watched it with whatever what previously was, but I don't. Do you like those things when they come out with something? I
don't watch that stuff. Yeah, like I watch so little TV. Like I know about all these shows, but I don't watch Paper Girls. I'm not watching House of Dragon. I've never watched Game of Thrones. I'm like you. I don't watch Stranger Things. Like I've watched the first season, but that's as far as I went. It's not that I don't like that stuff. It's just that TV isn't my go-to anymore really these days. So it's really got to be something like Reservation Dogs got picked up for a third season, which is exciting. Like there's very, very few things that I do watch that I really enjoy. It's got to really pull me in to some degree, or it's like a Marvel or Star Wars type thing where it becomes a family event because we watch those stuff as a family. That makes it, comics over TV. Exactly. Same with me, Rick Ray. And that's kind of what it comes to. I'd much rather sit down here and read, listen to some YouTube than sit and watch a show. Yeah, Reservation Dogs is phenomenal. Yeah, third season coming. So that's great.
Yeah, and Kev says I need to finish typically watch one show at a time, normally with my wife. Yeah, that's how it goes usually. Talking about Reservation Dogs, so I tried. I guess I didn't have enough time to watch, so I watched a glimpse of it, and so far it seemed to be quite like it wasn't capturing me straight away. Let's say this way.
Yeah. Give it a chance, I would say.
Okay.
It grows. It really develops. Like I liked it right from the beginning, but the show really develops, and especially because it's only like 6 episodes or 8 episodes for the first season, whatever it is, it's more like a British kind of strategy for television. Especially once it hits that second season, it really develops in a much different way, and it's one of those shows that it just gets better, and I feel it just gets better and better as it goes. I'm a couple episodes behind. I think 8 and 9 have been released for the second season, and I haven't watched those yet, but I'm rewatching them all now with my wife because she didn't watch them with me originally. So we just finished watching the first season, and then we're going to start on the second one. So yeah, it's good. It's really good. Hello, Andrew Lopez.
So where is it based? Because I was curious. I was
in the States. It's filmed and it's based in the States, and I think that's also a part of it for us here in Canada. Like it does have some kind of repercussions because I mean I work with a lot of Indigenous people. Some of my best friends are Indigenous people. You know what I mean? Like that bullshit. Sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that, but it's always a joke kind of thing. But it's one of those things that has a little bit more of like a precedent. I feel like it's more a part of our lives here, based in Oklahoma. Thank you, Rick Ray. And there's just another level to it. You know what I mean? That kind of resonates in a different kind of way.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to mock that whole my best friend stuff. That was poor taste, possibly, but yeah.
Yeah, but as I say, I just wanted to kind of talk to you because you've been watching for a while now, and I want because I always give the TV series a chance if I of course have time on. But it's a pity I never do that to TV shows. Like when I watch, I usually commit to it if I have time enough, so I start watching it because then I have enough attention. But this time I watched, like as I say, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and there was like the robbery, the car, the kids. And it looked great. And like maybe didn't put that flap on, and it was just dragging through town, and everybody's like, whatever, nobody noticed it, kind of thing. And they were just doing it. And then they go. I saw the employee of theirs who's basically giving them the money. It looks good cast so far. I mean, I don't know. As I say, I don't have much of a subject yet to get in my head to see
Yeah.
how much but yeah, so far it's some of the things captured me. I mean, kind of nice to see that they try to put an action first in an episode. So, but yeah.
And then the drama stuff really plays even in the second season. One of the main actresses, she ends up writing an episode. She becomes like a writer, and it's honestly one of the better episodes of all of them so far. It's based on an elder dying and their kind of like funeral and their kind of what they do in their communities, sitting in the house and being with the person and singing and just kind of like, it's a really amazing episode, a look into a part of their culture that is presented in a much different way. And she was one of the main writers on it. So they're looking to like get stories from all these different communities that, again, they just don't get that voice, right? And that's huge. That's hugely important, getting those authentic stories from people who have lived it. You know, it's like when I rave about the show The Wire, one of the things that's so good about that series is when they did the season about what happens in the school system, they had people from that school system writing episodes. So it's this firsthand experience, which gives you a really good insight into things. So it's incredible. And again, I would say give it a chance. I don't want to overhype it too much. I don't know, I already have, but it does get better and better as it goes, because they really start leaning on the drama as opposed to always the comedy. And it just really develops nicely, I feel. Yeah.
So you're saying that they use actual Native Americans in
everybody? It's the first apparently all indigenous TV show. Producers, writers, directors, actors, everything. Like everybody comes from an indigenous background, varying groups, you know, and come together to create this show. Yeah, absolutely. That's totally true, Rick Ray. They hired a lot of people, like the gangsters in Wired classic. There's a couple of people who came from that lifestyle, and now they're acting out what they've experienced in that life on TV. You know what I mean? So some serious people in shows like that, and that's going to add to it, right? As opposed to someone's perspective and acting a part. You're from that. You've lived on the reserve. You know what life is like, right? So.
Yeah, the Wire it's up there for me. One of the I could rewatch it and probably rewatch it, and I still bloody enjoyed it. And I always find something, you know. Actually, so talking about rewatching and how much detective shows do I like. I'm living through now Law and Order, the original ones.
Yeah.
Which are absolutely, you know, you would think the 90s, 95s, I think it's all the era, but it seems to be I'm on that cusp of wanting to basically kind of be in that like childhood mode where I was watching that show, and I absolutely love it. And I always like kind of like, I mean, you can kind of methodically, this kind of similar situation happens, but just I like the interactions and the quality, the amount of actors they went through that TV show is actually. Jeez, she was in that show. How big, and they recycle people. It's funny because if you watch season, you see how many actors they just recycled for other storylines and how good the acting is, and you're like, fuck, I know why I enjoyed it so much. But anyway, this is me. I get my priority now, kind of like to calm down. I watch Law and Order. Because that sound, you know, the soundtracks used to be carrying so much, and that bass, and then you just like, and you like your head, you get in that space where it's comforting, but it's a crime, and you kind of weirding yourself out. It's like, well, you like when people suffer, or do you like that because it's just a comfort thing?
Right.
And then I'm like guessing yourself, but I love it. Anyway, and now thinking about why I was like, maybe I should report that, but there's so many things to see anyway.
There's so many. Yeah, that's the thing. It's impossible. Like comics, it's impossible to keep up.
Yeah,
you know, like,
exactly. Okay. Yeah. So talking about that, shall we talk comics?
Yes, sure. Sounds good.
So do you want to start off us with something you can maybe start?
Yeah, sure. So as you can see, I'm wearing black today. So today is in honor of the passing of Blaze Comics. They were with us for quite a while. They contributed really nicely, but it's unfortunate to hear that they passed. I am no longer buying a Blaze book. So Damien, if you're watching this on the replay, you're going to love this as I completely shit talk and trash a comic for the first time in my life. So I picked up the single issues of Animal Castle. And I wanted to get the hardcover because I've loved Ablaze. I've loved stuff that they've published. I decided to go for the signed edition. And I don't think I've ever been more disappointed in something in my entire life. So, full disclosure, this cost me $115 Canadian. So let's keep that in mind. So in the past, there's already been an issue with Ablaze with their hardcovers and their comics because they're about the same size as a regular comic. And I kind of came to terms with that they're not going to do oversized no matter how much I want them to. That's fine. I can't, they're going to publish however they want to publish. I bought this fucking thing for $115, the signed edition. This is what I got. In pencil, a signed piece of paper that's just slipped inside the book. So no book plate. Apparently it's limited to 250. It doesn't say that anywhere. I was figuring some kind of nice book plate, maybe something written in pen, something a little more permanent, maybe something numbered, maybe something a little extra in the hardcover. Nope, nothing. You get a little gold seal stamp and a piece of fucking paper. So I'm not impressed, and fuck Ablaze. I'm not supporting them anymore. I've had enough, even though they've put out some really, really great stuff. And I've loved a lot of stuff that they've put out. I'm now off. I'm done. Does that mean that the book isn't any good? No, Animal Castle is fantastic. It's one of my favorite reads of the year for sure. The Old Geezer is one of my favorite reads of recent history. Like, there's been some really good stuff. So this isn't about the creators. This isn't about the comic whatsoever. It's purely about the company. And I think that it's horse shit, and I'm not impressed. And honestly, like, I don't know how they feel they can get away with that kind of shit. I'm curious if everybody who ponied up for this feels the same way that I do, because I was really disappointed. I was so excited to go pick it up, and I saw it. And again, I knew it wouldn't be an oversized thing. I knew what I was going to get format wise. But when I opened it up and saw everything else that I paid all this money for, it's like I sold some shit to make some money to be able to purchase this. Sure. I spent $115 Canadian on this fucking thing. Like, dude, I should have just bought the $20 hardcover with no, or whatever it is, because I can't imagine it's that much. So to charge that much for something and not really put the work into it and not really give you something that's like worth that. Like, I've supported this company for a long time. I've praised them ever since I've been reading them, because they've released in English a bunch of really great stories. A Man's Skin, that's another one. A phenomenal book, beautiful art. But I'm done with them. I'm just done with Ablaze. No more. I'm just not buying any more of it. I'll do digging. I'll dig for kind of older editions or I'll wait until somebody else puts out some English translated stuff, because I'm officially off the teat. So that's why I'm wearing black today, because we're putting them to rest. We're going to have a service later on. We're going to lower them into the ground and they'll be done. Pour some liquor out. We're going to pour some liquor out as well. Yeah. Anyway, that's the extent of my shit talking. Everything else I've read, I've mostly liked. So, but I wanted to get that one out of the way first.
Okay. So now,
fuck Ablaze.
Now we will sing the sad sorrow song, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's a shame. It's I can't believe that they even dared to. Is it excuse for saying that they're gonna have two signatures and you know, like you pay for signatures these days? Is that what the excuses are? And then when you showed me that it's in pencil, it's like, what the freaking fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, you test trial your signature and it's like, just give me the paper, I'm fine. No, like put the pen to it, paper. If it's that, I mean, it's very similar. Like I never purchased, let's say this way, but I've one of the bigger like those shops which does signatures in the books or special editions in England. It's the Forbidden Planet.
Oh yeah,
and they do those plates. But one of the things I saw once, I just wanted to just see, and what, you know, I saw people purchasing, and just like an eavesdropper, I just looked through what they've got, and the guy was very excited as well, buying something. I don't remember what it was, but it was quite a pricey book. Once again, it's just because it's numbered and blah 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 and everything. And he got a piece of paper, of course, not pencil signed, but it's a piece of paper, and the same hardcover you would buy on your shelves, like. So what is that? What's the damn point? Is it just for us who likes those signature things. Yeah, that's really disappointing.
Yeah.
Hi, Jack.
Hey, Jackio.
So
And I
yeah,
mean, ultimately, I could sit there and erase those signatures. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, so you presented them in something, even sitting in the book, they're gonna wear. Like, I don't know, man. I just think it's like,
yeah. It's poor taste too.
I mean, because I added them on Twitter, because I
Uh-huh.
early on when I was talking about the oversized things, I put at a Blaze, you know, like I'm no way hiding behind anything. I wanted to talk to them about it and get, and again, I know that people running Twitter aren't a Blaze executives. Let me just say that as well.
Yeah.
It's just some poor schlub who's running the Twitter account. I get that. But at least when I asked questions about the oversized or the hardcover, like oversized stuff, I did get a response. This one, I didn't get any sort of response at all. So it's because it's the same for me with those IDW artisan editions. When I got that Nick Fury one, where the glue was coming out right away, like I sent them multiple emails and they didn't even respond to me. There was no response, and I sent multiple emails. It's like, if you think that little of me as a consumer and a customer, then go fuck yourself. Then you're not getting any more of my money. You know, like
Yeah.
at least if there would be some kind of conversation. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to let them have it, but I did want to make sure that like I wasn't just talking shit behind someone's back, my disappointment. I wanted to make sure that they were notified that, hey, unhappy customer. Again, like first world problems, I get it, but it's one of those things of like, it was just disappointing from a publisher that I've genuinely really, really enjoyed, right? Just disappointing to be like, at the end of the day, I'm just a customer. I'm just a consumer.
Yeah.
And they don't care too much. This is what we have, take it or leave it. So, which is fine. I just choose to leave it. That's it. So, yeah.
Well, this is thankfully that you showed to us, like us who's, like knows you and everything, because I like that part of us talking comic books as well. The kind of like you can sense it before you make your purchases. I know if you're more careful about that kind of stuff, but it's like the minute I saw it, it's like, damn, I wouldn't. I would not. I mean, in generally, I'm not interested in those signed copies because that comes to extra money, and I'm a bit frugal when it comes to that point as well. So, but you even like. You sold something in order to get it, so you were excited about the product, and if they don't care about that kind of part, generally we are consumers. Yes, we produce the product, but at the end of the day, if there's many of us who don't like it, we don't buy it.
That's right.
Like I wouldn't go buy it for sure.
And for me, it was about support, right? Like a lot of this stuff is I like supporting some of these companies. And if it's a story that I like I bought all the single issues. I even bought a couple of variant covers, just because I really genuinely enjoyed the story. So it was all part of that wanting to support so they can sell things, so they can continue making this kind of stuff and continue approaching other artists to get English translations and like becoming part of that system, like giving them some money so they can continue doing the work that they're doing, right? But there's no more artisan editions. I'm never getting another one, even though there's been some amazing ones, and then a Blaze is done. So the two, because I mean, other than that, like I'm still buying the Red Room stuff because again, it's about supporting those guys. Even though I don't particularly like the comic, I'm still doing it because it's a support of Fantagraphics and those guys as artists, right? So for me, it's mostly about supporting Fantagraphics, to be honest, making sure that they get more money so they can keep publishing incredible work, right? So it becomes a bigger picture kind of thing as opposed to just a one object as well.
Okay. Yeah, well, crazy. But yeah, it's a pity because at the end of the day, like you are a producer of items, people, at the end of the day, you're also representing the creators. And if you do like their work, it's kind of a shitting point now for you because, you want to support their creators, but then they are published by this company and I don't know how much say they have on that kind of part. So
exactly.
It's a very shitty point in that sense as well. So it's a pity, but yeah, it happens sometimes that kind of crap.
Totally.
Unfortunately. Well, I guess we learned a lesson, eh?
I totally learned a lesson.
So talking though artisan editions and artist editions, lots of people are talking about it, and I do like the creators in generally, and also I like the character we're talking. So finally I managed to get hold of a I don't know if I've read a whole, so I'm kind of doubtful if I did, but there's one issue I'm missing from this. And I'm talking about it now. Hopefully you can see me.
Oh yeah, I can see you. Oh yeah, sweet.
So it's the Mazzucchelli's work on Daredevil, which I did not have it. I have always pushed it for like like I don't get it. It's time. There's time. Like things. And then of course the artist edition came out of that work specifically from this.
Yep.
And then like just the word came through, and then I was looking through to get some of it, and damn, this read of the book and Mazzucchelli is just like, I know why people talk about him so much, but when
Yeah.
you see it on, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm seeing in the comic format like you intended to have it. It just comes out with this amazing details of people's expressions. He's really good at emotional part of this, because the story, Born Again story, I guess, and also another fact that I think they're gonna come out with TV series now from Disney, and I think they're gonna touch that. So why I bought it as well, because I didn't want it to go overpriced. Like things come out on TV. I'm gonna do a solo thingy. So yeah, and it's a beautiful. I did not expect Karen to take such a role, to get to a Daredevil in a way by Kingpin. But this Kingpin by Mazzucchelli is an absolute astonishing beast, really, of the character. And it's the story, or it's not, if you want to be happy, or you're in a very good mood, I'd highly not recommend this, because it's very kind of sad and a grievous point of Daredevil's lives, what Kingpin is managing to do. So as you see, Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, really good scene on this. I've those blankets he's drawing. That's not an easy task to achieve, and
Right.
it looks extremely realistic.
And then that image specifically gets mirrored throughout the whole series too, like that over top image makes its way through a bunch of the issues.
So it seems to be our Daredevil in this at the beginning of the story. He's getting along with things to do. He's living in his own place. Everything is going dandy and good. But in the background, we have Karen. And Karen, the Karen Page, the love, I think, still they were kind of going out, but not. So she has an addiction problem, and that becomes a way on point for Kingpin to do something, because the information he was able to get from Karen Page, and that basically sets off the whole story onwards. This pages, I mean, come on, look at the reactions, and it's absolutely astounding.
And the color too, like seriously, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So you have daily bugles in here as well, which is, of course, I knew it's part of Hell Kitchen, but sometimes you just forget some, like you just know the character and go with it. But everybody in here, it really works. The mood scenes he does is absolutely fantastic, because the coloring is it's really beautiful in here. So yeah, I cannot stop raving of this, because I find that to be an absolute pleasure. It was absolute pleasure reading it and experiencing in the comic book format, rather than me getting all those or artist editions, or like collected editions, because you can definitely get them hold of them. I think in epic format, Marvel came out with that. This is one of my favorite Daredevil panels, and you don't see. Man. And you don't see as often Daredevil anymore. You more see Matt Murdock.
I mean, the thing is, those colors too, like the color choices on that stuff, it's unreal. Colors you don't normally see.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I don't think it does. No, it. Christy Shelley. It's on colors, which is nice to see that they actually put that person on in a comic book. So I wasn't really surprised to even seeing that. I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, the choices of coloring, the scenes, the mood setting, it's really good, and it's actually really helpful. Even though we know that Frank Miller of the statue of, and then Daredevil lines of what he created and how famous he was for that, this is just shows you, even reassures you if you have not yet touched that kind of part of Daredevil with the Frank Miller, because I don't know who wouldn't, but or haven't heard or haven't even tried it out. But as we say in here, even the second couple of issues, and now Mazzucchelli takes over the colors. interesting. But still has the same feel, and it's really good copy, to be honest. I don't know, it seems to be really well produced comic, and generally the colors were like, maybe my copies are really nicely produced, or was lucked out in that sense. But show you one of my, the Kingpin scenes are one of my favorite stuff. As you can see here, the giant of the man standing on this. I mean, you can be scared of the thing, and then what Daredevil's trying to do with Kingpin and what happens to him after that. But there's a scene of, this is my favorite panel of the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he is like astonished by his own admission to the things what's happening to him, and how he's basically become, like, he lost everything. Arias came to take all his money. He has 20 pounds to his name. He's living in this hotel, dodgy hotel. The manager comes in and he's choking him.
Yeah.
And that's basically a point where Kingpin was waiting for him to basically go to his demise. So yeah, but it's basically one, I didn't know if I disclosed it, but Karen disclosed information about Murdoch and his double lifestyle, and how Kingpin decided to basically absolutely demolish his things. And then Karen Page in here, so she's realizing her problems, and then she's basically tries to basically get back. Apparently she wasn't even in the country after that. Comes back to it basically once again, even though you did something bad to Daredevil, she's like looking for redemption, and redemption only has to be given by Daredevil himself. So very interesting take, absolutely fantastic. Just for art itself, is a scream. But of course, if you're at all of Frank Miller's fan, it definitely would be right up your alley. And funny, I wanted to ask you about this. So after reading this, I don't know if I finished it, because I know the issue, the last issue 232 is the first appearance of a nuke. So I don't have that because it's very expensive, to be honest, because it's appeared in the Daredevil before, in Netflix series and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So because I didn't feel like I had the end of a story, is it because I don't have that issue? Because I don't know if you read the story, yes?
I have, yeah. Like I've read them all years and years ago. I don't remember specifically that issue. I mean, because I have it, and I know that I read through them. I imagine it feels to me like, in hindsight, looking back at all that run, that all of it sort of ties in. There's always kind of threads that are going. So I'm sure you'd get more of a complete picture getting that issue as well too. But off the top of my head, I don't remember what happens in that specific issue though.
Because the nun situation in Daredevil, so he gets he been helped by nuns because he was injured as well. Not that he almost got murdered by Kingpin also, but he survived it, and then somebody got into a scuffle and he got stabbed.
Right.
And he got saved by nuns, and he has this weird conversation with her, and now he's asking this weird question: "Are you my mom?" And now
that's right. I do remember that.
Yeah, is she his mom, or is he just going nuts?
From what I remember, no, not.
Oh, there you go. 232 and 233
Epilogue, yeah.
Shit. Okay. Oh, is it ending of Born Again? But yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, because that's the thing. I was like, so not because I think, and if I'm correct, if I do remember correctly, but Netflix series, they touched upon on the nun stuff, isn't it? They did talk about it, like he's saying about nun who saved him as well, saying that, oh, are you my mom? Something. I kind of recall that kind of thing. Maybe I'm just imagining, but anyway, so I'm wondering if she was anything, or he's just gone cuckoo.
It could very well be from the TV show that they did touch on it for sure. Because I mean, with these shows, I felt like they touched on a lot of these key moments, just to try to like bring in the fanboys, right? To give them a little Easter egg. But yeah, because I'd heard the same thing as you, that this new stuff is going to be more a kind of in this Born Again kind of territory.
233 okay, editions, but I found the last two issues to be much of diverse. Oh, okay, cool. Great. Thank you very much, Rick Ray, for that. Because I was like, as I say, I was managing to collect. And then, so I bought these and hold all those, whatever, how many issues I have, 6 of them, I think? 5. They cost me as much as one issue on fucking Nuke's first appearance. So I was like, oh, wow. Fuck no. So I'm not, because I mean, that's the price I saw. At the end of the day, my limited choices of where I find that issue is kind of limited. So I go into kind of like and end up paying a little higher price than usually.
Yeah.
Usually, if I go in comic book shop, looking around probably, but no, I just didn't want to. I was like, no,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah, yeah.
buying this first. Like again, hopefully
I
maybe.
lucked out when I was buying those issues all those years ago. I
Yeah,
lived across the road from a comic shop at that time. And he had a ton of them, and he was selling them for like, $2 a pop kind of thing. So I remember
yeah,
I ate that up because I remember a time, I think it was in between work. There wasn't much work going on because
yeah,
I remember lying in bed and just reading one issue after the other, and then kind of going across the road in a week and buying some more, because it was like, once I kind of discovered how much I enjoyed it, I
yeah.
then just kind of cleaned him out of all the issues that I didn't have, right? Because they were
Mm,
just dirt cheap at that time, right? Because I
mm.
mean, people were excited about it, but there was not the hype that there is now, obviously, because this is well before the TV show and things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then I was like, like I always think back, I always think like, why wouldn't I just, got it in that time? And I think I remember there was the time when I was looking for it. I recall they were announcing the Daredevil might be coming out, and all those rumors coming, and
Yeah,
they shot up the prices to anything. So I'm
right,
like,
right.
no, I'm not paying for it. I can't find it, like,
Yeah,
like luck out. But yeah, I'm really glad I have it now in this format, particularly because
totally.
I think the Mazzucchelli's art is absolutely splendid. And talking about, I flipped through one of the new bookshops, not new bookshops, but the bookshops they have a bit more now of like collected graphic novels on
Mhm.
sale. And I think I found those artisan editions just to look through.
Yep.
And I enjoyed it, but honestly, seeing that in comic format, it just doesn't do the justice. I think the bigger artist editions, if you can hold on that,
Totally. Yeah.
then yes, 100% more worth than comics because
Yep.
of the size of sheer size. Because then you definitely can immerse yourself in that art.
In
And
the
these,
black and white, and
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
I don't know why they didn't even. I mean, talk about more about this guy, because this is like a cream of the crop of the comic books at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you have plot lines, you have the emotion line. And I mean, I'm not an expert. Let's say I'm just a fan. Let's say it this way, but seeing the stuff is just like makes me more excited about it. Anything is like, why even thought twice not to get this kind of thing? But when
Yeah, yeah,
you do it, it's just when you realize,
yeah.
which is another damn thing.
It's
So.
the exact same thing I remember thinking too when I was picking up, because it was always a book that I'd heard praise about. And
Yeah,
then once I started reading it and kind
yeah,
of seeing like, oh my God, all these people, it was one of those moments like, yeah, everybody was right. It is phenomenal.
yeah.
Because I
It's kind of
remember just
weird.
getting so much joy out of reading
Yeah.
those issues. And it
Yeah.
was one of those just not being able to put down and just keep reading and keep reading, like just such quality writing and like just absorbing you again, like we've talked about in the past, like this magic that can happen with these words on a page and drawings that
Yeah.
somehow just completely suck you in. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
This is the beauty part, like we say, comics over TV shows. This is what tells you to switch off everything around you and
Yeah.
just go for it. And you can't just, I was like, I read once, like, but I have to go sleep. I was like, let me
Yeah.
squeeze one more in. And then I was not sleepy. And I was like, but I'm not going to sleep now because I have these questions in my head. And that's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
I the story. It just makes my head go forward, and I just want to know more and more.
yeah.
It's just the beauty of the storytelling. That's the thing.
Well, and then it's also the thing that makes me think of like what were people thinking at the time it was coming out, and imagine having to wait a month for the next issue. Like, oh my God, that would be, yeah,
Oh,
add to that excitement.
yeah, exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
your turn, Mister.
Mm,
Cheers to that.
okay. Let's see. So a positive thing. I got some positives. Let's start big time positive. Sorry, I didn't really get myself prepared here. I read quite a bit this week, to be honest.
That's good.
Yeah, it was fantastic because I read a lot of really good stuff.
Oh, look at that! Somebody has read this story as the first Daredevil run. Oh my God!
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Off my shelves. Hello, off my shelves. How are you?
off my shelf. That's a beauty to get hold of. First thing you read of Daredevil.
That's a quality one to start with for sure.
Yeah.
So I got into a bit of a Mary Fleener. So Colin, Loading the Cannon, he showed this off in a haul video a long time ago. Mary Fleener has been somebody that I've been aware of for a long time. She appeared in a lot of kind of anthologies when I was coming up reading independent comics and things. So, but this was one I hadn't heard of. And it's Ray Zone, who did a lot of 3D books. This is based on the writings of a woman named Zora Neale Hurston. And it's about, so there's voodoo and then there's hoodoo. So it was based on writings on these rituals and magic. So she tells these stories in kind of her Fleener kind of Cubist, Picasso-ish kind of way. And it's really, oh, there he is, loading the cannon. There he is. So,
just waited.
What's that? Sorry?
Just waited your moment of the show in a book.
Yeah, that's right. He was standing by. So I read this one. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great to see her stuff at a bigger size. I thought the stories were good. It's not, you know, out of the Fleener stuff I've read in my life, it wasn't the stuff that blew me away the most. It definitely fits in with her kind of ideology, because she's fascinated by like ghosts and magic and this sort of thing. So this fits in with her as a creator. One of the kind of nice surprise stories for me, though, was this 2-pager, The Hawk and the Buzzard, because it's a bit of a style that I'm not used to seeing from her. And I really, really enjoyed this one out of this particular book, just this 2-pager, because of seeing this different style and the panels being made up by like these tree branches as we're dealing with these birds in a tree having a conversation, you know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty well done. So that ties into when I went out yesterday to kind of have a dig through some bins. I found 2 issues. It's a 4-issue miniseries that she did called Slut Burger. And it's Fleener's own one-woman anthology. And I will actually show this on the cover of number 4 here. Somebody had got this as a tattoo on his back. So the back cover for this one. So she kind of, at the beginning, she tells a little story about meeting this guy. His name is Luke Miller. So she's got a little bit of a strip where she meets him and kind of takes photos. And then she kind of tells the backstory of the creation of the piece and things like that. So this comic was really, really great. This is a little bit of a flip one too. It's also fascinating because in the back of these ones, she has letters from people like Daniel Clowes and Trina Robbins talking to her about her comics and how much they love her style. She has a letter in the back of number 2 from Dan Clowes that she eventually just interrupts and says that, you know, he just prayed. I can't print the rest of this because I'm blushing, you know. And she said, I'm blushing at your gushing. Stop. All I can say is thanks. So he was really praising her art. And one of the things that even Trina said, like, and apparently Dan Clowes told her this as well too, that she should really save her kind of Cubist crazy moments for very specific things. So even as she was coming up and creating, she was getting she'd built this friendship with these other indie artists that were kind of giving her advice on storytelling. But her stories are fantastic. They're all these autobiographical tales. This one is called Tales from the Pink Coffin. And I think it was my favorite. One of her close friends, or sort of a friend, I guess, because it's a complicated relationship, dies. And then she feels that she was getting haunted by his spirit and things were happening in her house. And so it's just kind of talking about their relationship. It was just, this is the kind of era of that. Everything that happens in my life, I'm going to put into a comic. So, and I can see, because Damien's talked about that before, how sometimes that becomes difficult, because as if everything that happens to you in your life is worthy of being written down. Exactly. But I do feel like she has a really great way of storytelling. Like, this first page is so good. I mean, look at how nice that one panel is, and that kind of like this bit of more simple style and her use of this black and white. It's really, really good. And it was so much fun to read. The inside front cover had this, what about that Fleener dame? So she talks about herself like one boob is bigger than the other. She doesn't like movies. She believes in pro-choice, and all of these little things just done in this little panel. Instead of doing like a little write-up on her as a person, she kind of does this. the first issue of this did come out from Ripoff Press, which I already had. And then these ones were drawn in quarterly. And like I said, I believe there was only 4 of these, but Colin can correct me if I'm wrong about that. So highly recommended. If you see anything by Mary Fleener, when Colin kind of reminded me of her by seeing her in his hall, it just reminded me that I need more of her stuff again. It's been a long time since I've seen her, because again, all of those anthologies, she would always have a short story about her time in rock bands, because she played in bands. Her and her friends taking drugs and getting just wasted and drinking and partying. Really, really good, because her style is so unique, pardon me, and it's so it's her own style to some degree, even though she's definitely taking influence from other areas, fine arts and Picasso and things like that. She does kind of make it her own, and it's a very unique way to tell a story in comics. I wish I could find the panel. Unfortunately, I can't. There was one panel where, the other thing, sorry, one last thing here. She's also close friends with the guy, Dennis Warden, who did this character called 5 of them. Okay. He did this character called Stick Boy, I believe. So they're close friends. So he does a story about her as well, which is really, really funny. It's very funny. He's kind of one of those almost like Johnny Ryan type of cartoonist where he can be very offensive. But he tells a really nice story. But the point I was trying to make about her kind of cubist type of style is you end up getting these, I'm not going to be able to find it. You end up getting these scenes where it feels like you're getting a wide shot and a close up and an over the shoulder. And so it feels like you're getting multiple panels in one panel because of the way she breaks up the images. It feels like you're reading a 3-panel comic, but it's just taking place in one panel because of the line work. It's a really, really cool effect. If I can find it, I'll talk about it next time, show that panel. But I really like that idea of kind of, again, dealing with comics and deconstructing them, and depending on your art style, being able to tell a bit of a story a different way than normal, right? So it's fun stuff.
Okay, cool. I'm showing you something I've been waiting for the whole long time.
Hardcover.
Yep, that's the one. It has this and this is embossed, like it's you can embossed kind of thing. You can actually it's bigger than the actual hardcover, so it's quite nice. Another thing to mention, which I don't know if it's weird, but this spine is an absolute flexibility of note. It actually is gonna like rip apart. Like the pages are way too, in a way, loose, but the binding is extremely flexible. It's absolutely stunning. But it's, as I say, maybe I'm thinking, like you like we are having problem. So you complain when it's too stiff, but then you complain when it's too like really well done, and you think, oh my god, something is wrong going to happen anyway. But I've been waiting for this. Looks at the back. I have, to be honest with you, I have not read a lot on purposely, because, as you're well aware, my like those I'm gonna show you some pages. It's an extra size, by the way.
Nice.
You're comparing to your comic, a slightly bigger, but it feels kind of like much bigger when you like, I don't know, it feels pages. So you see how you have that much bigger space, kind of thing. But I've been waiting for this for so long. I guess I'm really wanted to take my time with this hardcover, and particularly all these issues. This is the first issue. You have the covers in each issue representing. There's a chapters apparently in here, which I wasn't aware. Yeah. This is exactly. We've been waiting for this for a very long time. This is now is into what, 30 or issue 34 issues or something like that.
So many issues, yeah.
So just getting hardcover this year is actually quite mind-boggling. But the patience did come out, like paid off. But yeah, I've read like a couple of this the first issue pages, and I took, because I don't know how about you, but me, when I'm reading something stories like this, I really need to take my time because I overly think about scary stuff, like this moment where the kid goes in the back home. Are you well aware of the series or not?
I've never read an issue of Ice Cream Man. I think, well, actually, I take that back. I might have read one issue, but I've never followed any of it.
But you know of the writer. Have you read any by Prince?
Just that ha stuff, which I wasn't as keen on.
Oh really? Well, you didn't like it? Oh,
it's not that I didn't like it. It didn't do too much for me. Like, I enjoyed it enough, but not enough to kind of go back to Ice Cream Man.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing. That's why I was waiting, because I wasn't sure. I mean, a lot of people likes this as well. It's very it's not your for faint-hearted. Let's say it plays around with this with things, but the amount of brutality in here is crazy. Of course, Ice Cream Man used for some other parts, which I'm not really much aware of the series anyway. But what I'm trying to say is I'm going to take my time. I can't breeze through it. Look, there's a clown just for you. Haha.
Yeah.
You see, and as I say, and it's really well. I mean, as I say, the binding is superb, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Also, it has quite of a matter, like there's quite extras. Of course, there's all extra covers in here collected, whatever to that issue they and this is the first one.
Oh, sweet.
That's a Fraser Irving's art, and of course Martin Morazzo, which is creator of basically the whole series.
Wow.
So you get all the covers,
right,
as well, which is great. But also, which is interesting, do you see the difference? Censored for indecency. The indecency is just the heel.
Ankle. Yeah.
So it's funny. But this one is great. Tula Lotte's art on this one. It has amazing. But anyway, it has a lot of extras, like character sketches. Of course, they usually have. But it also came with they give you a script as well.
Nice.
At the back of it, and also quite a bit of script on pages, how they created the story, and also they show you the little details and notes that the artist and creators has picked, and also the back of it, which is quite a lot. Also, there's the pattern they used for backgrounds.
Oh wow!
Also, there's quite a bit of a word from our writer about his inspiration, and afterward, kind of written by him, which is interesting. There's quite a few informations in Headspace. He's like he said in here, I really wanted to make a huge excuse for you to understand why I come up with this series, but I can't really tell you exactly what's happened when and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting, as I say, but very well produced hardcover. As I say, I'm a bit worried about the binding because it feels a little bit too movie for me.
Yeah.
But and also the Image comic book's not really well known for amazing hardcovers. So in generally, I'm pleased. I really like the way, but it's just a volume 1, I think.
That's thick as hell too. That's good.
Yeah, Sunday edition. It doesn't say volumes. It's a hell of a lot of pages. It's about almost 300 or 400 pages.
Oh wow!
Collected in this, so it's with extras, of course, and the comic book. So there's quite a lot of matter. So as I say, for the price, so $44.99 US. So it's not much.
Pretty good.
Hardcover, we imagine what Marvel and DC gives you for a collected edition. It's so 45 quid is nothing. For me, it was even cheaper.
Right.
Thankfully, I found this. There's this website. I get those collected editions. They're not really great with posting, but the pricing, you can't deny it, because it's almost too cheap to think why they actually selling that for that kind of amount of money.
Right. Do they do free shipping for you since they're based out of UK, or?
Yes, that company particularly does it. That's why I kind of choose it as well. So they not always have lots of things in stock. You have to be really buy them while they are in stock, because when they go out of stock, because for example, an omnibus, some like the one I wanted, which I missed out completely.
Mhm.
The Animal by Grant Morrison.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
a lot of people, I always wanted. I was very curious about the series in generally, and they sold for £45 for omnibus.
Mhm.
Now, other shops or everywhere else is 100 and something. So
Oh wow,
see the difference. So,
holy
but I,
shit.
I missed the boat, and now like when you see that price somebody offered, you could have purchased, and now you see this price, you're like, do I really want it now?
Yeah.
If I had it for cheap, I would have bought it, but
Yeah,
But that's okay. This website in generally is like, as I said, you have to, if you want something, especially of very popular matter, they don't keep that much in stock because I guess the pricing is very like in comparison to other shops, it's really good.
yeah.
They don't have that many. So if you luck out, usually really good. So I lucked out at that one. I couldn't wait. So I always wait for a really long time before I make the purchase because I always go library first. This is
Right.
my thing now. But I'll tell you about the library thing and another thing I read. So
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah.
Cool. So to keep the clown theme going, then I guess
Oh,
I read
like we.
the first two issues of this beautiful Stories for Ugly Children. So these were included in the box of Underground comics that I bought that
Oh
I was
yeah.
just going to pass over until people in the chat like Gore Vidal and I can't remember who else it was. Sorry. But a couple of people anyway had said, oh, that's a great series. And I honestly would have just completely passed it over. I don't really care about clowns. I think that's kind of, it doesn't really do anything for me. So, but thankfully, that's only one issue because each issue is its own story. And the format of it was something that I wasn't super crazy about either. It's kind of like a prose with some illustration. But
Oh.
honestly, it was pretty damn good. And I would say like out of these first two issues, so I think I'm going to end up keeping these because I think I got 10 issues of them in this box.
Oh wow.
Um, the clown story, again, it didn't do too much for me. It was interesting. It's told like I feel like there's something that I'm missing. I
Yeah.
feel like there's some reference to kind of classical prose novels or something, or some nod to some writers that is just over my head. And if Gore Vidal was here, he would be able to tell us for sure. But maybe if Rick Ray is here, maybe he knows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or and Paulo, hello, Paulo Costa. So it's this really, this one is kind of this grim story. It starts off, the very first page is the circus on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And these clowns have made their escape. The first line is the circus was burning, and then the rest we just see these clowns going off, getting drunk and hitting the road, and then they've got this woman in the back, this two-headed woman that's kind of servicing them one at a time, and it's just this debaucherous kind of story as they kind of go from there and kind of, you know, flip off passersby and get high and do all sorts of crazy things. So it was an okay story. It didn't really blow me away, but it was interesting enough to continue with the second one. And I'm glad that I did, because this one I found entertaining in a much different way. It's this Clyde and Marguerite Dead Johnson, and they're two dead people. And they kind of go through their day, but they're treated as if they're alive, and they're interacting in various ways and having conversations with each other, watching TV. I think they go out they go out for dinner together, but they end up having a barbecue with friends. I'll show you that one here, actually. They end up inviting some friends over for a barbecue, and there he is lying on the ground with his spatula and his hat. It's so odd. It's really interesting. But again, I can't help but feel that I'm missing something. Like I'm missing a piece of this puzzle to kind of put it together as to why this is being created and what the reason is behind it. I do feel like I'm out of touch with something. So but this one was very entertaining, so I'm looking forward. And from what I can see from a quick flip through of the other ones, every issue they go horseback riding as well too. Every single issue is a standalone little story, but they're all laid out in this way. And that was one of the things that I ended up reading a lot of this week, that I don't know why that happened. There was a few comics I read that were kind of like illustrated books to some degree. There was a lot of text and then some drawings as well. So not necessarily traditional comics by any stretch. They end up going to kind of like a fair, which is basically like a big ant colony. You know, so
Yeah.
they also have a dog that's dead as well too. So the dog ends up kind of coming around with them to these various functions and events. So it was pretty great. I can see the appeal for it, and I'm very curious as to what these next stories are going to be like. From what I understand, there isn't something. They meet God as well too. God has told them. Actually, God comes down to tell them that, listen, just to give you a heads up, I'm gonna flood everything and I'm gonna kill everybody, but I want you two to survive because I want the two of you to propagate the planet from here. These two dead people. So they kind of seal up their house, seal up the windows and the doors, and then there's a big flood that comes. And they end up kind of sailing around in their house while everybody around them dies. Even their dog, unfortunately, drowns. It's something, man. It's unique stuff. So I'm very curious to see where that goes. And Gore Vidal, if you are watching in the future, let me know what I'm missing, what the piece of the puzzle is there that I'm missing.
So you said you have 10 of issues of that. So it's
I think there's 10, yeah.
So there's quite a lots of issues just to.
Yeah, and they're all like this Piranha Press. I don't know a ton about.
Yeah.
But I've seen them off and on over the years, and I know that I've seen this book before, but I just haven't paid it any attention.
Do they say the
5,
artist?
7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10. Oh, 11 issues. I've got 11. The creators are Dave Laupra and Dan Sweetman.
Okay. Cool.
So I think Dave is the writer and Dan is the artist, and they're all the same thing. They're all that same kind of, a similar illustrated style. And I think it's the two of them throughout the entire series. And I know that they had done stuff before, because one of the other books in here is something from them as well, called Arnold, Confessions of a Blood Junkie. And it's the same kind of, I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same kind of format. I think this is like a vampire tale. I haven't read it yet, though. I haven't dug into it. And I think this was like a 3-part one. Oh, it's also part of the Beautiful Stories for Ugly Children. So maybe it was like an offshoot. They wanted to do a multi-part as opposed to a one-off.
I see.
But this style looks pretty great in here. It looks pretty good. So it does look like his style does change throughout. Because, it's the same two creators.
So it reminded me, how come you picked those? Was because it's so cheap you just...
I bought a small collection of underground comics. And
without looking?
So this was like 140 books, I think, that I bought off a local guy. For a good price, and then started reselling a bunch of them. These were some of the ones that were in that box because I just bought everything off of him.
Look at that shit.
Oh, there you go. Piranha Press is DC's short-lived creator-owned line. Okay, I didn't know that Piranha Press was DC related. Thank you, Jared. Hello, Jared.
Woo. Hello, Jared.
Do you know these books then, Jared? Do you know any backstory on them that maybe I'm missing? Anyway, that's it.
Let's pause. Let's wait for the reply.
Let's pause and wait.
So there's something I have read a while ago. However, I was thinking I've never mentioned that or showed it to people. That's the deal I got through Twitter. Lucky enough for one of the crazies of Twitter is selling some of the stuff he buys or upgrades it. So he upgraded to a bigger format, special like edition.
Same guy that you bought something from before?
Yeah, the artist edition. So he okay. There's a reply, Terrence. All I know is
right around the books. Okay, yeah.
So he gave me this for like really a steal, less than a tenner, I think I paid.
Nice.
So it's really good. I mean, I like to buy that, especially Magnola's hardcovers, no matter what format they are. They usually Dark Horses always have a beautiful edition, and this is no exception. They do a really good job. And I didn't know, but to my surprise, they made a cartoon out of it.
Yeah, they did.
And it's available on YouTube to watch. if you just type in The Amazing Screw Head. Pat Oswalt is one of the voices as well. Mike Mignola was one of the creators as part, he created the story, but they even went through and get him and stuff. There's more information for you.
Kyle Baker, and Gregory too, I think, was another one from Piranha Press. Yeah.
So this is honestly the best part of it is this story with a screw-on head. There's extras, of course. It's there's a Magician's Snake story also by Mike Mignola, and I think there was another one. Maybe I'm mistaken, but anyway. But this is the what you wanted to read about, and these characters are fascinating. Mm-hmm. So this robot with his basically head, only ancient head with screw-on head, is basically working for Lincoln. Yes, is that right?
Yeah.
Is this the right president?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not well. So anyway, so he's working for him, and there's this bad guys, of course, he's going after, and it's to the vein of Mignola and his weirdness and his creating of the characters. But honestly, after reading this and watching that cartoon, it just magnifies the story to another level, because it gives you that humor level, which I have kind of sort of missed in some parts of while reading this one. But in animation, maybe they did on purpose or something to make it more entertaining for others. But it looks so fascinating to see Mignola's art in an animated format. So all the same scenes you've seen in the comic book here is there on an animated series, like a special, let's say this way.
That's cool. Yeah.
And it was, and the bad guy, which is this guy, I forgot, is Tomb King or something. I don't know. He says he's genius, and there's this flies flying, and they really did well in the animated part where those flies were just like really in his face, and you just want to brush it away from him, from his face. And he's kind of hilarious because he's like, no, I'm gonna take it. And then he finds this treasure and opens it up, and it's like, phew, it's like disgusting. It's like treasure been waiting for kind of thing. Did all the stuff, and in order to get information, another point which I really enjoyed, he smokes people. So he burns them alive and inhales them, and he has this information. I don't know what people saying about inhaling humans bad for you. Because he basically gets all the information to what the person knows and his experiences. Right. So that's how he was managing to get to this turnip. And he's like, this is disgusting. Why did I, what is this there? But apparently inside the turnip, it's the creature. It was been hidden. And of course, to the old point, Screw-on Head wins, even though with his lover, who was part of the cult of that people he was trying to defeat. It's really good. If you at all a Mignola's fan, if you at all of the kind of storytelling he likes to portray, and of course it's through and through his art, this is definitely a book for people to just read and enjoy, because it's really good. It's really well done. And I absolutely love that monkey as well. The same monkey with that crown on it. It also, the flies are flying around him as well, and he's a badass. He's proper, And this is the thing that came out while he's just drawing, and he has story to tell about it. So amazing. It
came out in a single issue format too, right?
Yes.
I think I might have it somewhere in the bins. I should have a dig through the drawers.
Yeah. It's definitely, it came out in singles first. I never collected it, but it also. Now it comes out in this hardcover. Like I said, first it came out this hardcover. Now they came out in that, the Darrow's hardcover. Dark Horse does it. Those the higher, bigger ones, like library kind of editions with nice fabric hardcover binding stuff. So it's more, fashion. It's more pricey. Let's say this way, and it's a bigger format. But it's definitely, of course, I would, because I got such a steal for that. Of course, I'm gonna get it. Because I don't have to invest in anything else. But as always, Dark Horse is doing a stupendous job when it comes to hardcovers. As I say, I never touched to the whatever wood I have here, but hopefully they continue with that kind of hardcovers, because this is what you want to invest money in, spending an extra buck, because you get what you pay for at the end of the day. It just feels better in your hands and stuff like that.
Not a piece of paper with pencil signatures. Did the animated, did they translate his art well to the animated
Through
short
and
as
through,
well?
through
Yeah,
and
hey?
through. Absolutely. They just basically made, those still animation parts where we take the backgrounds is there and they made them move a little bit.
I
And
see.
then when the Lincoln was talking, it was very funny ways they did it. There's those clocks which just flips through in the, like old school train stations. While he was talking, we did that like animation of his lip moving like that kind
Uh-huh.
of thing. It was fantastic. So
Wow,
highly
wow.
recommend it if you don't want to purchase that kind of book, but you watch that animation.
Yeah, I'll check it out for
Stupendous.
sure.
It's really, it's 21 minutes, 22, 24 minutes, nothing to invest on. It's fantastic. It's funny as well. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it
Cool.
gives you a nice spin to that. I was like giggling. I was like, oh, come on. I read it. I enjoyed it. I really do because I like Magnolia. But that it just made me even more kind of thing. Like, it's
Right.
almost like chatting to you guys and talking comics. It's almost
So
like,
speaking of animation, just on a quick aside, we didn't talk about it at the beginning. Have you been watching the second season of Prey?
you no, pray. Oh, you mean
Prey is
that
the animated, yeah.
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
I need to click on my
Yeah,
brain to flip through. But no, I have not
either
yet.
have I. No, I haven't seen any episodes either. Yeah, I was just
I
curious if you'd seen it.
no, I saw a short, or maybe it wasn't. I don't know if it was a trailer, but I saw a little bit of a glimpse, and I switched it off because I didn't. Primal. That's the name. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Primal.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
not
That's
Prey.
what I was thinking.
Primal.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
Primal. No,
Yeah,
you're right. Thank you,
yeah,
Rick Ray. Yes, I don't know
yeah.
where Prey came from. Prey is that's the Predator offshoot thing. No, Primal is what I meant. Yes.
Yes, because the Prey I would not watch anyway. By the
No.
way.
Prey
But
was pretty good. As another aside, Prey was pretty good. But Primal, I haven't watched yet. I really
yeah,
want to see it though.
yeah. Everybody's like now saying Prey is a
Yeah.
Predator.
Sorry, my mistake.
No,
Brain
Prime.
fart.
Yeah. So talking about the Primal, I saw that, as I say, I watched a bit of a short, and it looks exactly what you expect it to be. Like all the shabungs and shabangs, or whatever you liked
Yeah.
it. But as I say, I didn't watch through because I hate trailers because they spoil.
Yeah.
They tend to spoil quite a bit. So
Right.
Anyway, okay, now your turn.
Let's talk about one of the best comics ever. No
Ooh.
discussion, no argument.
Oh wow!
I will not be taking any further questions. Reed Fleming.
Milkman.
So this is issue number 7. So there was a few issues that he did in the 90s. What year do we have here? 1996 by David Boswell. So I've got Eclipse released a bunch of the original stuff, and then he had his Deep Sea Comics that reissued a bunch of the early stories.
Oof.
Man, it's every time I read a Reed Fleming, like from page 1, panel 1 of him beating the shit out of somebody who made fun of his milk truck, and then yelling at the cops to get back to work. He's talking about how bored he is, just missing near death from a train, screeching in front. He's got a Band-Aid on his head, and the first customer asks him how it happens. And of course, he's making a dick joke about it, that his dick flew up and smacked him on the head. It's so funny right out of the gate. And the thing is, with Boswell and his comedy, it's very, very quick. It's almost like I don't even know what to compare it to. It's really fast paced from panel to panel. There's these gags that end up happening, and there's a lot of really childish, silly gags, but it works so incredibly well. I love the character design, the fact that it's about a milkman, and just a milkman who's very dissatisfied with his job and life in general. And even silly things like this, that he's kicking this garbage can and kind of kicking it higher and higher as it goes into space. That joke ends up kind of culminating, like, I don't know, 8 pages later as it drops on one of the characters much later in the story. So these little weird setups that then kind of come back to you. It is such a fun book. I really love his style. I did feel like reading this that his style wasn't as sharp as it was with the earlier stuff, but his humor and his absurdity and his absurdist kind of nature with it is really great. This guy is taking his place to kind of do his milk run, and he's reading a book on how to be a milkman. and it's like about smiling at children, but somebody of course has written FUC and then crossed out the MIL. So all of these kids are freaking out about the curse words because it basically says fuck on his milk truck there. And he runs into the cops again. And of course they mistake him for Reed and all of this stuff. But it's so fast paced and just so much fun, especially reading some of these books that are, I read a couple of books today that were a little more difficult to kind of get into, or not today, sorry, this week. A little more challenging to get into, just how wordy they were and things. This was a really nice kind of a reprieve of this is what it's about. This is just stupid fun, really, really comfortable, stupid fun. And just, again, one of the few books that makes me laugh out loud with just the bonkers. I mean, that dick joke, he ends up telling it to like 5 different people. He never says the punchline, but he ends up telling the same joke to like 5 different customers, all of who have a bit of a different reaction to it. Yeah, here it is. So here's, you know, all these pages later, here's that garbage can dropping down and almost hitting the guy as he kind of curses the sky for doing whatever it was to him. Like, it just so stupid. And then the bonus backup in this one is that we get from this, which I also have, Heartbreak Comics, which was his first work. There were strips that appeared from the newspaper, the Georgia Straight, which was a Vancouver-based newspaper, sort of an underground type of newspaper, like the San Francisco newspapers. Harold Head, Rand Holmes' character Harold Head, started in the Georgia Straight. So he does some reproductions or reprints rather of some of his Heartbreak strips from that. With I think the character's name is Laszlo. Yeah, featuring Laszlo, the great Slavic lover. And it's just as kind of funny and ridiculous. But you can see his style right out of the gate from like 1977. So it's nice to get a couple of these strips reprinted. So there's, I think, 2 more issues that he did in the late 90s that I don't have that I'd love to get my hands on. Just to kind of complete my run of Reed Fleming. One of the local comic guys around the corner from the office, he said that was one of the things that he was told that he had to carry when he opened his comic shop.
Really?
You have to carry Reed Fleming. Yeah, sort of like as a joke, but it's like, in order to kind of be on our distribution, you have to pick Reed Fleming as one of your titles. So he carried it kind of right from the get-go when he started his comic shop. So keep your eyes out for these. Like I said, the Eclipse reprinted a lot of them. Yeah. They're always cheap when I do see them. I don't see them often, but when you do, they're really, really cheap, and they're well worth your couple of bucks to have a look at.
You you mentioned it before, and it always attracts me because I all like the look of it anyway, and the jokes. It looks like fun read, but also so I always keep on looking out. And how many in total do you collect?
I think that this is issue number 7. I think that there was only 2 more after this, so I think it went 9 issues total. But he also has you can also look at the Deep Sea Comics website. He sells a bunch of stuff there, including T-shirts, all sorts of things. Yeah, I was actually tempted to buy a T-shirt the other day. I didn't yet, but I'm probably going to end up buying a Reed Fleming T-shirt. But
so is he doing still some stuff already? Yet,
I don't think he's still doing it. I don't think he's doing anything anymore. But he does have a pretty robust website with all of his work.
So nice. So he still trying to make the buck.
He's still cashing in on Reed Fleming from the fucking 80s. He's only done one thing and he keeps cashing in on it. It's kind of like a cult classic, I guess, at this point.
Have you seen mystery collected editions on the shops?
The only one I've seen is one that I have, and it's not within arm's reach. I don't know where it is. I haven't seen new ones though.
I looked through. I think it's a new one. Yep. Oh, there is Reed Fleming hardcover. Ooh,
yeah, there is. There's a collection. Yep.
Oh, is it available? Like easy to available?
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, it collects everything. It's another one that I was tempted to double dip on and grab that as well, just because of how much I love it. Yeah.
So I looked through in the bookshop. I went, and it's a horrible reproduction.
Oh, bummer.
Horrible, like really bad. So
why? What did they do wrong?
It's blurred.
Oh,
Well,
what?
maybe the one I was flipping through. So I was wondering, I wanted to ask you about it because curiously, like I wanted to see, because that's the black, whatever, that gun thingy, publishing thingy house.
Oh yeah, the Hard Case Crime.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So they're doing that. So I got really excited. The cover looks horrible as well. I don't know who that made it. Not like horrible, but just it doesn't look as what I was expecting. Too new, I guess, because it's
Right.
collected edition. Somebody made the cover. But anyway, so I flipped through and it's blurred. So somebody was doing or scans and they did a horrible job of the
How the
comic.
fuck? Yeah.
And the colors are not there. The definition of characters wasn't there. And I wanted to tell you that because I was like, maybe I'm just like, like lucked out on it. I flipped through it. So I was like, it's not expensive. I don't remember the prices anyway, but it wasn't like out of the crazy price because soft cover. It's not
Right.
even hardcover.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe it. I was flipping through, almost through the whole book just to see it. Maybe one, like 1 page or 2 pages, the whole book through.
What the fuck, man? What is going on?
Horrible.
I wonder if it was
so horrible.
I wonder if you just had one that just had a shitty print. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I really do. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it. Maybe because you see it more often than I do, for example.
Yeah.
Like maybe you go into comic book shops and you see those, because the time I have available to just actually the shop who actually holds that stuff and also to see it is quite rare.
Yeah.
So because most of the time I buy it online, unfortunately. But yeah, when I looked, I was like, fuck, what is this shit? It looks so
especially
bad.
that style. It must really stand out because it's so kind of illustrative and crisp.
So what it looks like really somebody put on a scanner the comic book
and then moved it
slightly or something, and it just did not scan really well, and they put that in the book and I was like, what the
That's
like one of those moments. So yeah, so if anybody would even dare to buy that, I don't know who interested in mystery in these days.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You, me, and maybe Jared. Yeah, I think 3 of us. Yeah.
So if you are looking to buy that, please look through it before, and I would love to know if I just seen it, but
I'll keep
I just
my
could
eyes
not.
open too if I see it. I haven't seen it in the shop.
I didn't take.
Yet,
I wanted to take a picture, but like in the bookshop was kind of like I don't want it to kind of. I felt I didn't want to do that, but maybe if I go again, I maybe be brave enough and show it to you an example.
Yeah.
Because I want to go back and see other one, and like they have several copies of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just couldn't believe it. And I wanted to tell you that it was like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Because mystery, we both like it a lot, and I actually wouldn't, because there's some of the stuff I'm missing, and I like to find it is quite difficult. I told you that before in here.
Yeah.
And then like I would be.
It's the later issues that you're missing, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's
I think to be honest, you probably have the prime. I felt it started to drop off near.
Yeah, I know.
It was still pretty good, but I think you've got like the best stuff. I think.
Yeah, because I remember you talking about it, and like it just dropped, like teetered down because of the comments and everything. I remember you talking about.
And it was only like half an issue. They would present only a shorter story. And then it was a backup story that Johnny Dynamite, I think, became a backup story for a while. And it just wasn't like you weren't getting a full issue of Mystery, and it just it felt like it was on the decline, like they just kind of lost interest in it, So
but isn't he doing something again? He's writing again some new comic now.
I know. Well, I don't know about new comics, but I know that they did some. I think Hard Case Crime also did a new Max Albert Collins mystery book, like a prose book as well too. I think that he's still doing that. Comics, I have no idea, honestly.
Okay, cool. Anyway, maybe I thought maybe I just saw the prose book as well somewhere. So, my brain doesn't know. Everything is comics. Nothing grows in my brain, but it's just me. Anyway, okay. So I'll show you that library thing. So the best first part. Okay, this is what we. Anyway, so I get this book from library.
Yep.
I had it for more than a week. I didn't look at it. Didn't think of it. So this is the guy who I really like, Frederick Peters. Self-made hero stuff. I do enjoy. So it's the Swiss writer and artist. I read The Smelling of Teenage Boys. Do you remember that cowboy cover I showed you once again? Library. And I didn't realize. So there's this says number 1, The Smell of the Warm Dust, and I didn't click in my head. There's more than one. So I read it. Not like you expect. You have hardcover, and now I'm like, I'm going to get full story, quite short. I'll read it quite quickly. Blah blah blah. And that's like so there's four volumes of this, and this is one of the best sci-fi things I've read in recent days.
Oh wow.
Not look for me with my own opinion.
Yeah.
But this book, honestly, it's called Amma. But for me, it starts really well. So you see this guy lying, kind of crying, middle of nowhere, and you're like, okay, this is the first that nothing says on the panels, and then you see all this nice paneling going on, and you basically is just the story just comes into, and it just goes quickly. It reads really easily, and it has the elements like you have this ape creature, but it's a robot. And you're like, okay, cool. And it's slowly because but while he's lying there, he's basically lost his memory. So that's why I was thinking maybe you show when it starts like that, it's the end of the story kind of thing. It starts with the end. So to my frustration, it doesn't end here. And I was like, because I read it in like I didn't want to I was flipping pages, and I did not want to stop. So the story goes this guy is a bit of a loser in a way, compared to his brother, and in his brother's opinion, and he is like it's like futuristic tales of he is a husband, has a daughter, but unfortunately his wife is not letting him to see his daughter. He is kind of he's on a drug called Shine all the time, like, so he's an addict as well. He also lost his dad's dead dad's shop to a con artist, who comes, like he just, like wanted to have a conversation, and they basically ended up stealing the bookshops. And he's fascinated by books in generally, because he says the future, there's no books in existence. If you have a book, it's kind of like, oh, like he's fascinated by this stuff like that. So anyway, this ape-like creature comes and talks to him, and it's like, I don't remember anything. I don't know what's happening in here. And he's like, you better read this book. But it was his diary. So it's just slowly basically disclosed the information they want in this volume to what's happening, and it's really well kind of done. It's like, oh, like you almost reading a person's diary and seeing the actual images and stuff, and they're slowly introducing him to what happens to him, introduces to his brother, and it has those little mystery points. So this daughter of his, who you think he's not able to see, and his goal is to see her, you kind of sort of see a glimpse of her, and they keep on telling that she has a problem. And they also have this disease. What happens to people if you don't catch it on time? You kind of go ape-like. Like you lose abilities of being like human. You become like sort of an animal. And it has this kind of mystery stories of it, and it just goes on. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just the right moment, or maybe seeing people flying in the bubbles makes it just more exciting for me. Like maybe knowing Mobius and all that kind of things.
Yeah, totally.
So it's very futuristic, and you have this ship they flying into, and this malleable kind of thing. It flies through the space, and because of the speed of it has to move, so it constantly changes the shape. So while you're in it, you don't really know what's going to happen, which way you have to go to see somebody, for example, in other places. So it's really entertaining. It reads extremely well. It's translated, don't forget. So the translated, that marvelous. Like we sometimes say, when we read something translated, it doesn't kind of make sense, or doesn't translate it really well. But this one went like a breeze.
Nice.
I'm telling you, it's like, and I really was wanting more, because it's just disclosed more information, the turmoil, and they going. So brother basically takes him to this planet where the experiment happened, where they left those scientists in there for a couple of years, but there's this great it's the earth basically starting to get destroyed, or in like almost like Great Depressions kind of part of it, but like in a bigger magnitude, and they were left behind. So they're going in there to basically find out what's happening in there, because they're supposed to be looked after, and there's the money spent towards it and everything. And that's where the mystery is kind of even more encloses, and the part where I really like the most. So while he's in this alien space, he talks to the scientist who basically absolutely angry with them for leaving them behind for like 7 years or something. He sees a girl and he thinks it's his daughter. Another mystery part of it is the people who has this girl with them in this alien place with nobody, kind of sees it for a while. They don't know why she's there and why she's existing. So it has those, like a good sci-fi has a mystery. It has great kind of relatable characters. It's well drawn, kind of thing, and it just really, really reads well. So I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. And as I say, I was so disappointed when I was like, oh, it ended. It ends. And it says to be continued. So and then I say to myself, okay, let's go to library page and see. They don't have any of it.
Oh no.
And I was like, shit.
So when did this come out?
It got rewarded by this series as well. Oh, it doesn't say it in there. 2013.
Wow!
It got best series of Angoulême International Comics. Yeah. So, and this is the format, like the European format. Looks great. It feels amazing. It's kind of nice and slim hardcover. It's been through because 2013 and my library had it for a while. I was like, why would you not get another? Like, there's three other volumes, and I was like, I really wonder. So I'm not sure if Self-Made Hero has their own website. Oh wait, there you go. This actually was 2011 published.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
Yep.
First published in the US and Canada 2014. So Frederick Peters, and as always, he always surprises me. Lots of people are talking about Lupus a lot. I didn't have much of patience for Lupus somehow. It was really like softcover, big form, even bigger format than this.
Right.
But this is captured, like maybe I've read after, more things of the guys. But this is, like, as I say, it's been translated by somebody else. But so far, it's just, I don't know. I got the story. I'm really interested in story. I really want to know exactly what's happening because, like, there's so many questions in my head.
Yeah.
But of course, now I need to find the way I'm going to basically consume it. I also buy it online, of course. It's always available.
Yeah.
Which I could consume in that format, but it's really nice to read in this format in generally. So, damn you, library.
Yeah.
I guess I can't get it all, But to what I wanted to make my point is, this book never took my notice. Do you know what I mean? I was always keeping it aside, and then I picked it up and I was like, why like that moment, why the hell did I left it behind? Because I consumed it so quickly, and I was like, I really want to know what's happening exactly, because you have those 3 characters there, but there's more things ongoing. And
so it did everything a first issue should do.
Yeah, basically, it was exactly what you really wanted. And I looked through online and people saying it's really good series to read through as well. So not only me talking about it, but I'm really surprised how. And that experiment also is called Armor. So there's that thing why they invested in that space place where nobody's entered and there's no life really, and they thought you're gonna do the things, and there's this scientist who disappeared also. So there's those mystery parts which is like, wait, what's going on here? That daughter thing, her disability, which is supposedly given by him as well, which is what his wife is blaming for. So it doesn't really disclose that much information, but honestly, really good. As I say, we'll talk about it even longer.
Yeah, that looks cool. That looks really good.
It's really, as I say, I was surprised how quick the read was, but how at first I was like, like you have those, like start judging the things by not even actually knowing exactly what's happening there. But then, oh, okay, you got my attention. Okay, give me more, and you're like, you can't I don't know the ending. It's
a bite-sized story. Yeah.
It's, as I say, it's like about 80 some odd or 90 pages, which is as a base, to be honest, like a couple of comic books to read. But really absolutely surprised by it.
What have I got here? Why don't we try this one?
Okay.
So one that I've seen before in the
Uh-huh.
bins, and I've always been intrigued by the cover. I know I've seen this cover a million times. It's something called the Zone Continuum, and this is a Caliber press. I think that this one was only 2 issues, and I think there was like a Zone Continuum #2. This cover has always really intrigued me. I love the look of the, you know, like the folds in the fabric and the way that jacket is kind of fitted, and it's one of those covers that I need. What the hell is this about? What's going on? And I've just never picked it up. So I bought it yesterday when I was digging through the bins.
Mm-hmm.
It is from 1992.
Mm-hmm.
A writer and illustrator named Bruce Zick.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Caliber Press. So I don't know what the hell I read. I don't know what the hell is going on. It's a
Uh-huh.
science fiction kind of thing, but it's this futuristic type of, this guy has to live at a certain
Mm.
level above everybody else. Otherwise, he starts to die, from what I'm gathering. And I
Mm-hmm.
think he basically rides light waves, I think. And he's in tune, like this suit becomes part of his body that kind of has him communicating with his sort of Alfred type of person here, or his Black Canary type of person, as he's starting to kind of ride these. I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know if it's like these light waves or this ethereal type of images that he ends up seeing when he's got these goggles on in this suit, and he's able to kind of ride these waves. To what end, I'm not sure. It was
Mm-hmm.
an incredibly confusing story, but the thing is, the art and the motion is so compelling. It's a
Mm-hmm.
really beautifully illustrated book. These poses that he keeps doing are unreal. It's a very, very strange mix of, I need to stop reading the text because it's really actually frustrating me with how confusing it is, but
Uh-huh.
I can't put the book down because it's so visually appealing. Like these pages, as he
Uh-huh.
gets kind of caught up in this sort of cyclone of this energy field, and it ends up slamming him through a sign, and someone ends up finding him, like a citizen of this world ends up finding him on the ground, and he says to him, like, you've got to get me to a higher level, you've got to kind of bring me up, and you can't spend a lot of time near me because me even interacting with like the humans is draining my energy, and it's gonna, I think he says it's going to potentially kill you as well. So
Mm-hmm.
you end up bringing this other character into the world. And when he gets up, like, look at this, man. It's really, really unique looking art
Wow.
here. Very,
Looks
very interesting.
yeah,
And I
looks
think
good.
it's neat from a sci-fi kind of perspective of,
Mm-hmm.
you get that feeling that nothing is familiar.
Mm-hmm.
So when he finally gets him to bring him up to kind of this water tower, he gets this guy. He's been met by a third character who says, you know, we can't bring this guy with us. And he says, no, I owe him my life, and
Uh-huh.
I now we have to bring him with us. He has to be brought into the fold. So
Mm-hmm.
when he brings him up to the final kind of doorway that appears under this water tower here, we get a look into kind of what their world is here. So they're kind of home base or whatever. But again, it's really, really unique looking. I can't really make heads or tails. It looks kind of like organic, like trees and things,
Yeah.
uh, but it has this mix of technology. But the way that it's drawn on the page still gives it that kind of odd sense of unreality. And in order for him to get to be healed, he gets put in this tank filled with this fluid and spun around.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this kind of image. So he's on this very alien, almost Geiger-esque looking piece of equipment and spun around like crazy. And
Wow.
that's sort of where the first story ends. So I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know why he is who he is. I don't know who the villain is or what the kind of what mission he's on, but it's so goddamn intriguing that I need to know what happens in the second issue. You also get a little pin up at the back here too.
Wow, nice.
Um, so it's really, I dig it. And then you also get this pinup I really like as well too.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And again, it's that motion, it's the foreshortening that's really nice. Like that foot is like a mile away from this foot and the head. Like it's unreal. Just this kind of this odd illustration style. And then I think this is the cover for the next issue of the Zone Continuum. So
do you have it next issue as well?
I don't. They didn't have it in the bins, unfortunately. I actually didn't know that it was a 2-issue thing until I saw the end and put it in my CLZ. I thought because it didn't have a number, I thought, like you were saying, I thought this was going to be like a one shot from Caliber. And again, it's another thing from Caliber that I'm impressed with, that it feels like it's from a time where I had these assumptions about Caliber Press.
Yeah.
That the more I kind of dig into them, the more I'm realizing like I'm wrong about the stuff that they published, and because they really seem to have been hitting a point where they were trying a bunch of different things, because this is very, very different than anything I've read from Caliber to this point, right? And even just the art style alone has it stand out from the other Caliber stuff that I've been reading. And again, it's all kind of varying degrees of interesting. Some is better than others, but that one's caught my attention, but I don't quite know why. I can't quite put my finger on it, because honestly, the story was so confusing at the beginning. I almost gave up a few pages into it, but if the art wasn't that good, I would have completely put it down and put it to the side. So yeah, it was good. Okay. That's a weird kind of go and pick it up. It's not a resounding, yes or anything, but yeah.
It's a bit, do you find it frustrating because you want to know, because you like the art so much, you actually really want to understand what's the story behind it?
Yeah, I do find it a bit frustrating, because I wonder sometimes where that comes from. Is that just me needing to read something that's very specific? Because at this point I've read so many comics, you kind of know what to expect with the first issue. So is this something that is this poor writing, or is this a different type of writing that I need to kind of figure out? You know what I mean? And I do find that a bit frustrating, because you end up reading so many stories that they sort of follow the same tropes throughout, right? So you can kind of can get into it immediately. So I sometimes wonder with this, is this just someone who didn't know how to write a story, had too many ideas that they weren't making clear, or is it crystal clear to them and they know exactly what they're talking about, and I'm just completely fucking lost, you know what I mean? So
I always when I do not get the story, and people like, I probably know people like it, I was like thinking, this is me? Is it like I don't understand it, but it's just like my interpretation and stuff? I don't know. It's just like self-doubt all the time. Like you think like, did I read it differently? What, did I miss a panel? Or, like you missed the way. So I'll talk to you about the last thing I read now.
Yep.
This was on my list for as long as I know the comic books I've been into, and lots of people were talking about it, because once again, it's a Frank Miller. It seems to be I had a taste for Frank Miller's work this past week.
Right.
And this is the one.
Oh yeah, Ronin. Yeah, nice.
So, okay. My presumption, without not looking inside it, not knowing, I don't know, somehow probably forgetting what people were talking, because they had those special formatted comic books, isn't it? Like those, like, I don't know what they call them now. But anyway, so by the name, I honestly went like really excited because of feudal Japan.
Right.
I was like, okay. And then to my surprise, from not knowing it, it's like, what is this going on? It's like first thing. So it starts. Okay, I'm not a hugest fan of Frank Miller's art. First of all, I find it a little bit messy.
Right.
Too busy. First, he likes to do those scratch lines, which is extremely busy work to do. And then maybe he's just trying to like do the styles. So it starts really well. You see feudal Japan, you see all this running going around, everything dandy, it's like to what my expectations kind of thing of just the name. And that's the thing, that's my understanding in that point. Or like not overthinking to what I'm gonna read. Everything, like what do you expect? Fights, scenes of the bad guy. You get introduced to this Agathe, the demon who's going after our main character, and starting to get to know the like start to like, and then this happens. What is this?
Yeah.
Where are we going with this? And I was really stunned, to be honest, because I really did not think this is where this Ronin story by Frank Miller will go. So it's the primal example of how a person goes into the story without, remembering to look at what the story behind. And he has this famous like splash page, which is like got a loss into notes because it's a soft cover of the era and time. It's basically this happening, and I was so confused. This first chapter did not capture me much. I started judging it. I was even in my head was thinking, do I bother? And knowing that is what people, I have an idea of listening to people on YouTube, especially because I get at the end of the day, most of the examples of what to read and what it is from YouTube. For me, especially in my comic book reading life, and I was like thinking, why are people liking this? Because I'm not getting it. The plot line didn't, it's not really gentle for you to understand. There is kind of sort of understanding now that there's this guy who doesn't have no arms, no legs. He's in this experimental.
It's called Matt.
Yeah, an experimental part of Manhattan, or this company who is doing these experiments on superficial like life forms, I guess, and they create this kind of like living form of like what computer kind of stuff or being, which is basically become sentient. And I was like, okay, go on, but then where is my feudal Japan? and the first
nowhere to be found.
Yeah, well, there's really slim parts of it, kind of thing, the fights and the demons. And this kind of moments were one of my favorite because he was taking. I really liked this kind of format he took, like the way he wanted to present. So this is how Ronan and Agathe basically perishes because of he defeated it, and in order to defeat with that sword, you need somebody to die before you kill the demon, which is nice. That was rewarding enough. But the main story of this scenes, because what it is only kind of gives you an idea to what the motion of what kind of storytelling he wants to tell you is right at the back. So you have to basically invest in it and start not to, in your head, not start doubting and saying, oh, I don't want this, that kind of thing. Like, do I really want to read it? Because it's honestly, none of the characters captured my attention. Maybe this Agathe demon was a bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But then all this new day and age futuristic things weren't capturing until this point when they go through the sewers and digs through and finds the sword. And it's kind of the panel is one of my
infamous.
One of my one of my favorite ones. So this is what I like from Frank Miller, and most of the time I really hate this.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because it's absolute. I don't. It's too much. Because this is the actual, like the ships going through. This is her team going. Like lots of things happening, but not really. You have to get kind of did to your imaginations in a way. But it's not really clear. Those moments are fantastic. Once again, other moments no. So as I say, honestly, this book was saved in my own opinion right at the end, because I got a whole story. I understood exactly why he's selling that. I understand why he's using the Ronin part and the demon part, because at the beginning didn't make fucking sense to me. But then you understand the ability of that person, the Billy. His name is Billy, who is basically a kid who was born without limbs, but he has this extra abilities to basically his brain is almost like a mutant, to be honest. So yeah, it was honestly, as I say, it was such a, at the beginning I was like, why I'm doing this? Like some comic books, when they don't start well, you kind of don't want to invest in time in it. But I kind of persevered because I was still kind of curious. But of course, by right this, like when it starts to be this bloody, and then this Casey character got involved more and more in the storyline. It started capturing me. It started getting me my attention, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I really want to, and definitely right at the end, this conversation with her husband, and this and the scenes he was picking up where it's like really dark and emotional, and people are talking about, really was rewarding. But honestly, if I was picking up the Frank Miller's Ronin when it was coming out, the first chapter would not have captured me whatsoever. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell you what it would be like in that time reading it. But how was it? Have you read it? Yes.
I have, yeah, quite a long time ago. And I mean, I don't remember much of it. I remember enjoying it, but I don't think anything really stood out to me other than the thing I'm going to say about like watching that, having these chats, seeing that on the screen, like from a distance.
Yeah.
The coloring in that is incredible. There's some pages like at a distance, they look amazing. So when is that edition come out? When did this edition come out?
Let me see. Right. This one is 2014.
2014. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But this beauty had this, which you don't see in the softcover editions. Wait, where is it? There you go.
Oh, yeah. Sweet. Wow.
It had that reward right at the end.
Oh, come on. Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, wait, sorry. I can't even flip that. Yeah. And then also, sorry, spoiler alert for this, but this is how it kind of ends.
Very nice.
So I was very surprised in that. So as I say, it really got, and the way she reacted to this was very intriguing to me as well, because Casey was basically taken over by the Billy's mind tricks.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually seeing the stuff Billy was seeing as thinking that he is part being Ronin.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, it's so intriguing to see how disappointing the first part for me was Frank Miller's Ronin. It was like, I was like, no. This is like, because like first, of course, it set the mood straight away because I was expecting Japan, and I was really wanted that. If he said feudal Japan, and this is one of my favorite parts of Japan, like especially with Ronins, and Usagi Jimbo is kind of similar, time, he's wandering Ronin, and I was like,
Samurai,
come on, give me that, and he had the kid, and he almost saved the lady, and then there you go, we're back into like futuristic part, and he was playing with all this, how people had destroyed the earth, how they completely trashed everything, the water is undrinkable, air is unbreathable.
Yeah.
And then they have this breakthrough to this a special kind of organic form of plastic. She was made from plastic, which is kind of bizarre in that sense, and generally, because she was basically she was so evolved, and so like it's basically a bad part of you are inventing something which becomes cleverer than you are, and starts to manipulate for her own survival kind of thing, or even becoming like you wanted to take over the humanity and create something. So by using this superstitious, 800 years ago story of Ronin and his demon slaying parts of ways and blades, which were fantastic, to be honest. As I say, this is crazy. Busy.
Totally.
And then for me, but then he wins me with this.
Right.
It's as busy as that, but the contrasting colors just help the paneling so much.
Right.
Oh yeah, look, there's Angel Lopez. I remember. Wait, hey, come on, mice, work with me. When I first read this issue, it's just I don't know what, because it doesn't win you at all. By the first chapter, it gives you so much to intake, but doesn't give you much to understand what he wants to know. So it gives you this, as I say, those beautiful panels of those Ronin is basically on his on his journey to defeat the Dagat, and suddenly it just drops you straight into this futuristic town where this robot creature, whoever is sentient being around it, like almost like a computer virus, to be honest, goes in there and starts basically being amazed by how it's becomes more sentient and how can it maybe make the Earth survive from all the things what the humans did, this kind of thing. But then you have the underlying thing. You win afterwards, or you understand afterwards, because this is how it became. It grew to no end. Basically, start going into Earth, and it start to basically grow into stature. Where like the only way is to destroy is by basically blowing it up to pieces. So yeah, it's fantastic, right? But right at the end is that reward, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
Thankfully, it had a good ending. Let's say this way.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an ending, because it could be a bit of opening ending, to be honest, because this page is there for her. Because I mean, I'm gonna go in spoilers, but this has been out and about, and people has read it many times.
Yeah, it's old at this point.
Yeah. So she kills him. She literally shoots him down because she was the one who's basically manipulating him, what he was doing around, and also she basically destroys the rope. But this panel here, you could see that maybe something has got left in her brain after he's manipulating her. So you can actually open that book to other stories if you wanted to. But as I say, I don't know what he was thinking when he was doing the first chapter, because damn, that was hard to read. and this is extra. So you get those a little bit of pages of gallery.
And I feel like it's stuff like this where it is somebody that's playing with expectations, right? Like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You have these expectations of Frank Miller as a creator. You have these expectations of a book that's called Ronin. He's kind of playing with that with the intro of it. And then it's this sci-fi thing that's based like, look at that. That's great.
That's poster. So if it's that it says, it's just a copyright. Yeah, retail posters. So this is, if you advertise that to people, that's what people wants to see. This.
Yeah.
Because that's what you're going for. And then you take
pull the rug from under them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's black and white. It's actually even looking better for me than the color.
Right.
Because basically this guy apparently gets taken over by demon. And it gets destroyed. It was killed by that robot, and she creates this armor, like because she wants basically go into motion where she's basically gonna take over, or she's gonna create wars when humanity basically will be replaced by her creations and stuff like that, because she starts becoming like feeling that she's in charge, like godlike felt to it. But this is like an extra part, which is great. And there's this love scenes as well, which were very well portrayed, which I really liked it. But as I say, look, even in black and white, how busy the panels are. It's absolutely like, I mean, you have to really study or understand why he wants to. But this is basically just insides of that robotic creature, whatever he's trying to have. But this is definitely one of the famous parts.
Yeah, that's the one that appeared in the ads, I think. Yeah.
So a good thing, but it was a job. Honestly, I almost thought I'm going to give up to it. But you know how I read it? I didn't read it in the chunk. Of course, that would be quite crazy, but it's quite a lot of information. But I started reading it and I took a break. I read again, took a break, and I did that. And it actually really helped, because then I was thinking, what the hell is he on about?
Yeah.
Slowly, I would just get rewarded by my time spent.
Right.
So yeah. So I don't know how other people now. We're actually probably gonna go on YouTube and see what other people's impressions were by this.
Yeah.
Because for me, I definitely don't think it's the. I mean, it does reward you really well, but people were praising this to no end. I remember that clearly. This is, oh my god, one of the best Frank Miller works. And honestly, the Daredevil stuff reads so much better.
Yeah.
Biased, because I really like Daredevil as a character, and I've read of him, whatever was written by Frank Miller of the Daredevil, kind of did resonate me, and really captured me. This really did capture me right at the end, but as I say, a lot to invest in order to enjoy it. So
to get to that end, yeah.
So, it's interesting. So this Ronin.
I wonder if part of that at that time, because again, I think some of this stuff is lost to time, like being in the moment when this was coming out. I wonder what his ideas were at the time. Like, was he trying to get away from things? Was he trying to present something different? Was he trying to push himself as a creator? You know, I think there's all
Mhm.
of that around it too that would be interesting to find out, to see exactly what his thoughts were when he was creating that, you know. So
Yeah, as I say, it's very interesting. It's kind of you start to judge him not only as a writer but also as an artist and creator of the comic in generally,
mhm.
as a consumer, to see how it's Lynn Barley's then the colors, I think,
Oh yeah,
but himself is all it basically did the whole thing. But this is no, it's a lots of work he done, especially with those panelings. And I wonder, really would like to, like, you see those extras, but seeing that on a bigger page, I bet it would make so much more sense when you
right,
just put it in your comic format page. Because, like maybe he was doing in the noise those because of the scenes he was portraying. The Kirby has this crackle, the famous thing. Was he trying to put signature of his own so people will recognize? But I think what people will recognize is the style of art he was doing, because it's really different from others. It's like
right.
very specific. I mean, Frank Miller when Frank Miller is on the page.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, because I mean, his figures, his
Yeah,
characters themselves, they're pretty, you know, they're pretty recognizable as Frank Miller characters to some degree, you know.
yeah.
So
And then everything, so as a like story paneling. And another thing, he's the way he was doing structuring the speech bubbles, they
mhm.
were sometimes quite confusing at
Uh-huh.
times to read, because the way he was speaking, so he was very elaborate when it comes to paneling, let's say this way, yes. And I can't find the way that specific, oh, like this one. So you read this way, right there, but you get lost to who is talking because you don't
Right,
understand. So there you kind of follow through the chapters. Everything seems kind of, but like, and then you like stop and like, who's talking?
right,
It's like you
right.
can't understand who's talking, because there's little like yeah, there's this, that arrow which points like that one,
Hmm.
talk all points to him, so he's talking. But in
Hmm.
here there's nobody. So you're like, oh, okay, I know where you're talking. Oh, look, Gore Vidal's here. Hello.
Hello.
Oh. Oh yeah, well, talk about deadly class, man. It's very interesting part. But yeah, this Ronin is quite a read. It was
Yeah.
Gore Vidal about deadly class. I'm dreading to know what's going to happen. I know it's going to be bad, because what he's already portraying, a lot of murders, basically. Many characters you've seen is almost dead. There's only a couple of them left, and there's the way he set the scene because Marcus, the main character of that
Hmm.
class, he has his family now. He's very happy. He's hiding in a way. He's not doing any more what he used to be doing, like a killer and stuff like that. And he has his family in Hawaii, hiding, having two kids as well. And the way he's setting the scene up is people are going to come after, and he's
Yeah.
going to be bloody, because one thing is for sure, they want to kill him, because you don't leave, and like mafiosos don't leave anybody behind
Hmm.
if you're on the list, kind of thing,
Hmm.
in a way. But the way he's playing with it, what's interesting, I recommend this Deadly Class, is that he's using the time and era, and we actually reached 2020 when the COVID hit, and he mentioned that in the comic book. It's kind of interesting
Oh,
to
okay.
read, because we basically went through life story of the characters almost to the point of now. So he's kind of living in this time as we are.
Hmm.
I also read the first 3 issues for a hint about how it will end. It's been brutal. Yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be. There's no good things gonna happen in Deadly Class. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't.
it doesn't sound like it, especially a Rick Remender thing. I can't
Yeah,
imagine him
I
giving
think
a
it's
flowery happy ending.
yeah, I think it's gonna tear us. The people who invested the time, it's gonna be for us a reward, where it's gonna tear your heart apart, put it together, and tear it again,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
say, "Thank you very much for your
Yeah.
time. I'm done.
So long.
Bye." Because that's what I'm hoping. What I'm thinking he's gonna do, because knowing how because this story never had a good ending.
Yeah.
He was telling us from the beginning. This is the hardship of the character itself, and how he's saying that he had some of the experiences himself in the time of growing up from the 80s up to 90s and everything like that.
Mhm.
It's interesting. But yeah, if we have Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you will see. You
Not
will
a
see.
feel good.
Yeah. So it's gonna be. I think everybody's expecting. If we're not gonna get that, I think it would be interesting. I will feel how we're gonna feel about this,
Yeah.
because everybody's expecting absolute gut wrenching, serious things happening to that
Hmm.
series, and
Hmm.
I hope in the way it will be, but we'll see. Hopefully, I won't disappoint it, because investing in that many times, which I enjoyed it. Get this way. I really like the series. So
Hmm.
that's why I went through them in singles. I never picked up the collected editions. I just want, like we always do, investing after that a while, ending you kind of expect it, but we
Hmm.
know. I just don't want to. I've been already doing that. I'm overhyping it in my own
It's
head.
hard.
But
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to.
yeah,
Yeah, I've never finished Low.
yeah.
I really got to.
I didn't like Low, so I don't.
I loved it as it was going, but I just didn't keep up with it.
I've never went. I don't know. It's the first got recommended stuff when I started collecting comic books, which I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, reread the first 3 issues.
Mm.
Yeah, it's as I say. I think it's if Gordon Dahl saying that he read the first 3 issues, I'm wondering if he had something like like he actually tells you already what the end will be, and you
Mm-hmm.
like, and it teases away to some information. We being long series, 50 something odd issues, where
Yep.
you kind of forget.
Yep.
Of course, you will forget stuff. So yeah, but I know he's gonna grab some heart and gonna gut wrench it, because you invest in the character, and I really enjoy him because he looks like happy now.
Uh-huh.
Family now, 2 kids in Hawaii or the beach, like family time, swimming. Beautiful panels, by the way. Again,
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks so like like a good ending you would expect, but
Mm-hmm.
it's never been a good ending.
Hmm.
So there you go. There's my 2 cents in that.
Yeah. When does the last one come out? How soon?
I think very soon, very very soon. I think it's in this month. I think
like before the end of the year, kind of thing. Oh, okay.
Yeah. This I think it's this month.
Yeah.
But you never know. With publishing sometimes
delays and stuff. Yeah.
People always say so you can have it every 3 months, but yeah, this is the one I will be like, do I want to open? I think Oddfellow Thoughts will be the same. And
right.
Gore Vidal as well. So it's all 3 of us like, oh my god, this is the last one.
Savor each panel. Read one panel a day.
Yeah, I really like the art. It's such a the guy is top notch, and anything what, as I say, Rick Remender invites to work with him, so it's fantastic. So it will be a kind of thing. But he's coming out with his own thing called Kaya. I'm blanking his name now. I forgot his name now.
Yeah.
Don't remember. I'm blanking somehow. Oh wait. Was
it Marcos was his first name?
No, Marcus is the actual.
Oh, that's the character. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
What is it? Where are you? No, it's not here. Ah, fuck it. Now I want to know. Maybe if I can come up with you a week after. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Fantastic. Please do.
Yeah.
I'll definitely keep well, you're always welcome to come anytime you want, Laura. But
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, just email us. Just keep in touch.
Yeah, it would be interesting, our reactions.
Mm-hmm.
That's Craig. Yes, thank you of myself.
What's Craig? Yeah.
Thanks. That's the guy who should be praising for the magnificent art we got to experience. But honestly, if I mean, you always said like when I was showing you the panels of Deadly Class.
Beautiful.
Absolutely stunning. And the coloring
it's really amazing. And I had read like the first 1 trade or 2 trades, I don't remember. Yeah. But I'd again, it was just another. There's just so much to goddamn read. It's hard. You can't keep up with everything.
Yeah.
And it just fell by the wayside. I was really enjoying it. There was nothing about it that, I didn't stop reading it because I wasn't liking it. I was liking it. It just, like so many things, it just fell to the side. Other stuff came in.
I just got like sucked in that storytelling, and it's funny how I now realize that tremendous romantic storytelling in a very bad environment makes it so fascinating for me. I get like, I know it's going to be bad, but I get so invested in those love story characters that I was like, no, you're gonna do this, isn't it? And then he does, like, you think he murders like one of the main characters, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I knew it. I knew it, but why you do this to us?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But that's the beauty of his writing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. Now, yeah, it's just, yeah. But Craig is doing Kaya now, his own creations. A little bit different. I mean, a similar art style for sure to what he has specific art style as well. The way he creates characters, it looks very simplistic but very complicated in paneling. Is an insightful and critical view of Generation X. Yeah. So as I say, fascinating. Oh, that Ronin was my last read for the week. I was
right.
Quite chunky.
I don't have much else to. Let me see if there's something else that jumps out at me. I mean, I read some good stuff.
Go on.
But nothing that jumps out at me. I mean, I guess another one that I'll just quickly highlight before we call it a wrap.
Yeah.
I didn't know that this existed. I found it in the bins. It was the Book of Ballads and Sagas by Charles Vess doing all the art, but having a bunch of artists, including Neil Gaiman, writing these stories. So I think this was like a 4-issue series, this Book of Ballads and Sagas. Really fantastic. This first story, Thomas the Rhymer, I think caught me the most. I thought it was a really beautiful story. This guy that meets this kind of elf queen and goes and lives with her for 7 years. And at the end of the 7 years time, he's going to be given, I think it's an apple that kind of gives him all of this knowledge, but he ends up falling in love with her after the 7 years, but then he has to go. So he lives his life to becoming an old man and then meets her again when he's about to die and kind of then spends eternity with her. Just again, it's this beautiful storytelling, this beautiful little story, these little folk tales, because I think there's three or four stories in here. And also with this one, Vess kind of changes up his art a little bit throughout the story itself. So this is when he's leaving and kind of eats this fruit that he now becomes this kind of elder in the community there that has this second sight is what they end up calling it. But even stuff like this kind of softer look to some of the art. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Again, like some of these artists, getting to appreciate them more so the older that I get, where this stuff wouldn't have been something that I would have naturally been drawn to. I find that I just want to read this kind of stuff a lot more, and just these beautiful stories. So they're all based on folk tales.
Yeah.
So, and at the end you get the actual kind of the rhyme, I guess the folk story or a piece of it anyway, that this story was based on, which is also really nice. But honestly, man, Charles Vess is so good. He's just such a beautiful illustrator. And in this black and white too, it's gorgeous. And I mean, just the people that adapt the stories for him as well too, that end up writing it, they do a goddamn good job. But I think that first story was the one that caught my attention the most. Yeah, I mean, not much else. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's some nice kind of giant panels as well too. So really, really nice stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely be keeping my eyes open. I think this was collected as well too in a graphic novel. I don't know if it was, this was good too. This was the book. I love this writing here too. I love this font that he uses. It looks really natural, but really, really nice. Has some actual character to it. Really feels hand done. Yeah. So I think it was collected in a graphic novel. I'm not sure if it was kind of the classic kind of Marvel magazine size graphic novel, something a little bigger. I hope that it was, because I would love to see this even a little bit bigger. Like, look at this page here. Yeah. So yeah, really nice surprise. The joy of just kind of flipping through bins, just looking through everything. I was looking for a couple of things specifically, but it was good to just kind of flip through and see this. And it was a few bucks. I think this one was a little more expensive than I normally find in the bins. But honestly, for this, that doesn't bother me too much because of what you're getting. So yeah, Stardust. Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Mm.
And it's a name that keeps popping up. His name pops up on Howler Mouse's video today. Because he went to a comic convention because Charles Vess lives in his area, him and Scott Connor. Scott Connor sort of knows him. I think has told me in the past that he's talked to him a number of times about books and things and his art. So Howler Mouse got to meet him and got a bunch of books signed when he went and hung out at a convention with him as he had his artist table or whatever. So his name keeps coming up, it feels like, all over the place. So that's clearly a sign to dive more into his artwork.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, it looks great. Where do you want it to look through? So it always gives me another thing to look for. But I like the folklore stuff done in comic format. I find it fascinating.
And like I said, that first story is just so touching. You know what I mean? To kind of have this really nice, complete story that has this kind of emotion to it, you know what I mean? Where you do feel like you just get this nice little love story to some degree, which has these other undertones going on. And if the art just kind of brings you into that even more, it kind of gives it this more classic love story feel to it overall. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you have more. So you're going to do
something? I do, but honestly, nothing really to like. It's a lot more, you know, like I've got a huge stack of stuff. And it was all good reads. I don't know if it's necessary to kind of keep going on it, though. But as is usual, I'm just reading a lot of stuff because I have all of these books that are piled up around me that I do want to try to read and get through because there's some really fun stuff. There was a couple of things, though, that didn't quite work. And it was that kind of format of like this one is a good example. This warp walking was kind of like I think this is another Caliber book. That was the same kind of idea of lots of text.
Oh,
so much text where it was like, it was explaining so much that I just really lost interest pretty quick. It's like, why do I even care? You know, and it felt a little too on the nose. It's this kind of sci-fi sort of thing. Like I felt like there was some moments that were interesting. I also feel like this is someone who's trying to channel Jodorowsky and the Incal too much with some of the even the style of art is kind of there a little bit, you know what I mean? But even the storytelling, this almost like fool kind of character that's being put through this world. And then there's this kind of these priests that are taking him to the next level, basically. It just really was tedious. It became, because there was so much fucking writing, like so much writing, and it was really not engaging writing whatsoever. It was kind of like, why do I care about these characters? You haven't given me anything to care about them. So by about this point, I sort of stopped reading and I just kind of flipped through and I read the odd panels. Like when it was stuff like this, I would read these, but I wouldn't read all of this text stuff because it was just, it wasn't telling me anything that's, and it was a classic, you know, the stereotypical show, don't tell. There was so much in this text that's like, just show me the panels of that. You don't need to explain it. Like, just show me the panels. So this ran, I think this was a 3-issue series or something. But yeah, I mean, it's not on the list to look for whatsoever. There's demons on Earth. And it's this kind of relationship between human beings and demons. And then there's these kind of magical elements. Like I said, these priests. It just was like, why do I care about any of these people? It just didn't seem to be giving me anything that was unique. Where's that? Yeah, these guys here, as they give him this kind of black crown, they pass down this black crown to our main character, and it kind of drives him a little crazy as he kind of gains this knowledge and gets transformed into this priest. He's going to be he's the second coming. He's a blend of a human being and a demon. So he's their kind of savior that's going to unite the world and stuff. But it's like, who even cares that he's going to unite the world? That's awesome. That's great. But whatever. So, I mean, it's, you know, that's always the gamble of digging into these kind of books, right? You just never know. Because the cover intrigued me enough. I thought the style looked pretty good on the cover.
Very good.
And flipping through the first couple of pages, it got my attention. But Yeah,
Not after.
1991, and it's from
Mhm.
some guy named Mark Ricketts. Yeah, Mark Ricketts, story and art. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, especially in a single format, when you see that text is actually kind of off-putting.
it's really
Especially
just like, oh my God, how am I gonna tackle this thing? You know, like why are you doing this to me?
another, I think I now kind of know, because now I'm reading graphic novels.
Uh-huh.
It's not so easy to have like a huge amount read, because the amount you read in one graphic novel is not easy. Like this was like 6 chapters, but it feels like you read like what, 6, 7, or maybe 10 issues
Yeah.
of comic book format kind of thing, because it's extra thing. So I kind of understand now Earl Grey a little bit more, because like he was saying, and for him, if he is self-conscious about his English language, and then to describe what you have read,
Yeah.
it's quite a tough thing to read amount, like single issues. Like I was reading that Daredevil, it was 5 issues, but in single format.
Yeah.
You pick up, read, okay, cool, and you go, and it's so much easier, you think. But then you have this, and you kind of like,
Right.
you hold it, you feel the weight, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
the
yeah.
story does, like the Ronin part, if the story wasn't like, I wasn't keeping up with the story, I would have just like
Yeah.
shoved it aside, and it will say horrible things. But I don't usually tend, like, it's just the way I felt about reading what I have. But thankfully, you saved it right at the end. But
Well, and I think, like, because we end up talking about it quite a bit,
yeah,
the thing of like not wanting to focus on the negative stuff.
yeah,
But I mean, at the same time, not everything is going to work for you, right? Like, it's just
mm,
not going to work for you.
no,
I'm
for sure.
struggling to read this one, this Winging It. This is Roberta Gregory. And I love Roberta Gregory. I'm really loving her stuff. But this one, I'm having a really tough time. I've read it in 2 different sittings now, and I'm still only halfway through.
Oh wow.
She's got a good style. She's got a good storytelling. Like, I like the stuff that I've read from her before.
Uh-huh.
This one just isn't working for me, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just that this one isn't resonating the same way. So I'm really having a difficult time working my way through it. And apparently it was going to originally be like an 11-part series. I think
Oof.
only 3 issues ended up coming out. But it just is, it's such a slog of like, you may have an overall idea that you're getting to, but it's this, you need some form of like concise reading where there needs to be something for your readers to grasp onto, to be able to want to take that next step, right? So,
And especially it happens if they overcomplicate a story as well.
yeah,
Example for
yeah,
me, if you jumble, give me more information, jumble, give me more information, and you're like, what about that and that and that before? But it doesn't make sense, and then because your head starts to like, nah, this is shit, and you kind of, while you're reading, you're fighting with the brain and yourself, kind of, okay, just continue in your brain, keep on saying this is shit, just put it
yeah,
away,
yeah,
this is shit, just
yeah,
put it away. And you're like, no, but come on, wait a second. And you're like,
yeah.
so you kind of fight it with your own self while you're
Mhm.
reading them out. And then that doesn't bode really well for, let's say, a work of somebody's, a person's put sweat and stuff like that. But if
Yeah,
we don't tell that, it doesn't make sense of you even talking about stuff.
right.
Like, we do enjoy it when it's great. Of course, we're gonna push it to the highs because we thoroughly enjoyed it and everything resonated with us, like you said before. But it's difficult if you don't say it and somebody else goes and says, "Why do you even talk about it? This is shit." kind of
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? Because there should be a couple of sides of the
Well, and
coin.
that's where the criticism side starts to get a little difficult, because I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not an artist, I'm
yeah,
not a writer. So
yeah,
who the fuck am I to tell
yeah.
someone that your writing sucks and your art sucks? I'm who do I think I am by saying that kind of thing? So that's why I'd rather just talk about stuff that I enjoy, because at the end of the day, all criticism comes from a place of like taste, your personal taste, unless you're like a historian and you're really, there's a different level of stuff. But I'm not that person. It just, and the thing is, I also do to myself too, because I've done it with movies as well.
Yeah.
I like to finish it off. I like to read everything. I like to read the whole thing, because I feel like I'm not giving them a fair shake if I give up halfway through. So I'm going to finish the issue. I don't know how many more sittings it's going to take me. I will finish it just to get kind of like the full story, like the full issue, and really get a chance to absorb it, right? Like, I feel I feel I need to do that, because it's
Uh-huh.
not fair to just read a few pages and go, yeah, fuck it, and throw it over my shoulder. read the whole thing and see where it goes, right? But and and I think there's also a little bit of disappointment because I've really enjoyed her stuff that I've read recently. She does that Naughty Bits, that comedy one, and then she did that Licentious or Licentious, whatever it was called. I can never say it right, but that one, which I loved, I thought that was a phenomenal bit of work. I was really had high hopes for this one, which is also plays against you as well too, right? Like I thought, because it gets a bit of praise as well too. So we'll see. Maybe by the end it'll be a Ronin thing. By the end it'll be like, oh, I see, and then it'll all kind of sink in, you know.
But it's frustrating. I mean, I got the reward. What was frustrating was like, why? You could just hint it a bit more of this stuff. I mean, it did at the end hint quite a lot now thinking about it when you digest something you have read.
Yep.
But that's, as I say, that part where you start to fight with yourself. And you think that you can, like, it's comic book, nothing, just continue, just give it the chance. But after a while, when you start reading comic books, like you say, we've been reading comics for a while, so we already have an expectations from the get-go at the end of the day, because we kind of understand what is going to be there, what you expect it to be, kind of like plot lines going. But this one, the bad thing for him, he went with this Ronin thing, which the guy from Feudal Japan, and really is just a plot line. It wasn't really a main character. Yes, it was a main character who was thinking that he's a Ronin, but he actually wasn't.
Right.
He was played by a fucking computer virus, really, or whatever sentient being. But but then you going with that as your advertising point, and that's when in my head I already had predisposed information before that. So my expectations were there. Of course, I didn't do research. Do you do research before you read a comic book? Most likely not.
Not often. Yeah, no, it's pretty damn rare.
Yeah, exactly. So you just go and you're like, okay, Ronin, expect you flip, and what?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's part of the reading experience.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
So yeah, okay, people, thank you very much for sticking around to our bads, goods, and greats.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna travel somewhere again to maybe Crack's channel or maybe Damien's channel.
Yep.
And we will see again and talk maybe another disappointment or maybe something great again.
Now I'm sure it'll all be amazing reading this week. I've got a good feeling.
All right, people. So thank you very much for sticking around. Thank you for comments and for all of you people. And we will see you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
One moment now.